Chapter 12-13. How could Sheng, who had a bad temper, hold back? He was the one who was almost hit, okay? He hadn't even gotten angry, and she had already done it. Intolerable. Sheng put his hands on his hips and started to rebuke her. You're in the right to throw things and hit people when you're quarreling. How shameless can you be? If you have the guts to quarrel, why don't you strangle him to death? What's the point of having a man who keeps a mistress? Why was the host instigating even a passerby now? The woman was stunned for a moment. Then, she slammed her hand on the balcony, and the potted plant on the balcony fell down with a loud crash. The woman pointed at Sheng with a ferocious expression. Good. You're the little vixen, aren't you? You're really something. How dare you come to my house? I'm going to beat you to death today, you vixen. The woman circled the balcony, probably looking for something. Finally, she chose a broom. She held the broom and pointed at Sheng. Little vixen, just you wait. Don't run away. I'm going to beat you to death today. Sheng was speechless. What was she talking about with a retard? Perhaps she was a little retarded because she had just arrived and was not using her own brain. She had to slow down. Sheng patted his head. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw someone looking in their direction. However, it was only a glance before they rushed into the building she had just come out of. At this moment, the woman came downstairs with a broom. She ran towards Sheng and shouted in a high-pitched voice. You little vixen, who told you to seduce people? Shameless. How dare you steal a man and come to my house? The woman swung the broom at Sheng as she scolded him. Sheng tilted his body slightly to avoid the broom. He lifted his leg and kicked the woman's calf. While she was staggering, he kicked the broom out of her hand. The woman's calf went numb. She lost her balance and fell to the ground. At this moment, the man rushed downstairs and grabbed the woman's arm. He scolded. What are you doing? Don't you think you've embarrassed yourself enough? You heartless man. Why is my life so hard? Why are you still speaking up for her? Didn't you see her hit me? You dog. How could I have been so blind to marry you? Everyone, come and take a look. This shameless little vixen is seducing other people's men. The woman did not allow the man to pull her, and directly sat on the ground and began to howl. In this era, it was a big deal for someone to steal a man. Soon, people came out from all around the street and surrounded them. They pointed at the three of them and whispered. Sheng was also sure that these people did not know the host, which proved that the host was not from here. When the woman saw Sheng coming over, she seemed to have regained her confidence. She got up from the ground and pointed at Sheng's nose. Little vixen, let me see what kind of trouble you're going to stir up today. Sheng had seen plenty of unreasonable people. This woman was just a small matter to her. Fine, you said I seduced your man, right? Then may I ask, did you see it with your own eyes? You think you're in the right when you seduce someone? How can you be so shameless? Did you see it with your own eyes? Sheng's voice was not loud, but everyone felt as if the heat around them had subsided a little. For some reason, the woman's arrogance was suddenly suppressed. The woman opposite her was too domineering. The woman muttered, I didn't see it, but someone else did. Then are you sure it was me? Are you a deity? Can you predict? Or are you clairvoyant? I walked past your house and was almost smashed. It's fine if you don't apologize, but you're slandering I. Do you think I'm easy to bully? Sheng was a hooligan. Who dared to compete with him? Everyone looked at the flower pot on the ground, and then looked at the young lady's clothes. How could they be interested in the woman's man? Women were famous for being shrewish and difficult to get along with. It was obvious who was right and who was wrong. Sister Fong, it's not this young lady. The woman I saw had longer hair and wasn't this young. A woman raised her hand and said weakly. The woman's face darkened. I'm sorry, young lady. It's my husband's fault. I apologize to you. I didn't expect you to walk past me. I'm really sorry. Why aren't you apologizing to her? Don't you feel ashamed? The man pulled the woman and scolded. What's there to apologize for? Even if it's not her, you still have a mistress outside. I'm not done with you. The woman pushed the man away rudely and ran upstairs. The sound of the door closing could be heard from afar. Everyone, run! Run! Suddenly, there was a loud shout. Run. It's going to explode. Explode? When the crowd heard this, they ran forward without a second thought. Shisheng also ran forward with them. He took the time to look behind him. Those people were following behind them, and the last man was carrying the woman in military green clothes. Bang! Bang bang! The sound of the explosion rang out several times. There might be explosives in the nearby buildings. In such hot weather, the temperature after the explosion was even higher, causing other places to explode as well. The crowd only stopped when the explosion stopped. Everyone was sweating profusely, but their faces were extremely pale as they looked at the thick smoke and fire behind them. Why would there be an explosion for no reason? When the men in military uniforms approached, the crowd immediately surrounded them, pointing at them and making a big fuss. Shisheng was standing at the back of the crowd. One of the sharp-eyed soldiers spotted her. His eyes widened before they were filled with pleasant surprise. He broke through the crowd and walked toward Shisheng. He said excitedly, "Miss Gu, we thought you were taken away. Why are you here? Did you see what the kidnappers looked like?" Shisheng. So it had something to do with them. Shisheng did not say anything. What did she say? Should she say that she had defused the bomb and escaped? She did not even know the plot. Why would she say that? That person brought Shisheng back to where the other soldiers were. It was obvious that the other soldiers didn't like her. In fact, the way they looked at her was a bit strange. The sound of the explosion quickly attracted the attention of the fire department. Shisheng was pulled into a car by the man. The others did not get into the car. Perhaps because of her special status, the man who pulled her into the car did not sit with her. Instead, he sat in front of her. Her status was high enough. It was good for her to show off. Shisheng decided to read the plot first. This was indeed a military marriage story. The female lead was called Su Mei. She was reborn into the Su Mei of the 1980s from the 21st century. This Su Mei already had a husband, Hiyu. Hiyu was a company commander in the army. Before Su Mei was reborn, her original body was a person who was particularly disliked. She was a little fat, liked to take advantage of small things, and was very calculative. At that time, Hiyu did not like this daughter-in-law. However, she was married by his family, so he had no choice. He thought that it would be fine as long as he did not go back. Who knew that she would follow him to the military? He was a company commander, so his family could naturally live in the military compound. Since then, Hiyu disliked this cheap daughter-in-law even more. When the female lead was reborn, Su Mei and Hiyu's relationship had dropped to the freezing point. Chapter 12-14. In the beginning, the female lead also suffered a lot of grievances from Hiyu. But she didn't give up. She continued to reform Hiyu and began to become rich with her own efforts. Her relationship with Hiyu gradually improved. At this time, as the supporting female lead, Gulan naturally jumped out to steal the show. Gulan, the only daughter of the deputy commander of the military region, was spoiled by her family since childhood. After graduating, she fell in love with Hiyu at first sight and kept pestering him. Gulan pestered Hiyu. The female lead couldn't stand it anymore. She felt that her man was coveted by others and argued with Gulan several times. But every time, Hiyu coincidentally saw Gulan bullying the female lead. Over time, Hiyu didn't like Gulan very much. And this Shisheng, the female lead, was fancied by a man because of business. The man pursued her, but the female lead didn't agree. The man was provoked and kidnapped the female lead. You can say that he kidnapped the female lead, but he also kidnapped Gulan, who was with the female lead at that time. The man put a bomb on the female lead and Gulan, then calculated the time and informed Hiyu. He tied up the female lead and Gulan separately. Gulan fainted. When Hiyu went to save her, he put all his attention on the female lead. When he found Gulan in the room, there were only 20 seconds left. He gave up Gulan and escaped with the female lead. In the end, Gulan was killed by the bomb. Because of this incident, Hiyu's promotion was affected. But at this time, the female lead's noble people came out to slap the face, so Hiyu was promoted in the end. The ending was that the female lead relied on her prophetic ability and became a world-class rich person. The male lead also became a big boss in the military and lived happily together. Gulan pestering Hiyu was a bit too much, but the female lead always made trouble for Gulan, and made Hiyu hate Gulan. In the end, Gulan was killed by the bomb. In the plot, the female lead woke up when Hiyu started to save her. She clearly had time to tell others that Gulan was in the next room, but she didn't. What the F***ck is going to happen? Or was it broken? Whether it was broken or not, Shisheng didn't care. Anyway, she was determined to break up the couple. Gulan only had one last wish. That was to live better than the female lead, and make her parents proud of her. This was easy. She just casually took something from the space and sold it. Her net worth was over 100 million. After returning to the military region, Shisheng was sent to an independent courtyard in the family compound. This was the deputy commander's courtyard. Usually very few people came here. Shisheng went to his room according to the memory of the original owner. In this era, even a commander couldn't be rich, let alone a deputy commander. In the plot, the kidnapping of the female lead was not kept a secret. Not long after Shisheng sat down, a car came to take her to the military area. The family quarters were outside the military zone, separated by a very high wall. The host had been in the military before. As the daughter of the deputy commander, she had this privilege. She followed him to an office with ease. When they walked in, Shisheng found that both the male and female lead were there, as well as the male lead's friends. The female lead was still pale from the shock. When Shisheng came in, she glanced at Shisheng and quickly lowered her head. Mr. Gu was sitting behind his desk. He was a very thin man dressed in casual clothes. He seemed to have just returned from somewhere. He wore glasses and looked solemn. He looked a bit like an old-fashioned math teacher. "Dad." Shisheng walked to the front and called. Mr. Gu glanced at her, and the corners of his mouth twitched. It could barely be regarded as a smile. Then he looked at Hiyu and said calmly, "What happened today? How did Xiaolon get involved? Hiyu, if you don't give me an explanation today, I won't let this go." He only had one precious daughter, but she was kidnapped. He didn't even know before. The soldiers who went to rescue her didn't know that the original owner was kidnapped until later. But Gulan was the daughter of the deputy commander. How could this be hidden? When Mr. Gu found out, he even wanted to kill Hiyu. Fortunately, his daughter was fine. That was why he could sit still. As a soldier, Hiyu didn't hide anything and reported the whole thing. "Because of a private matter involving my daughter, you made such a big fuss?" Mr. Gu's expression became more serious. "Why didn't you report it?" Hiyu brought people to rescue the female lead. He didn't even have time to report it. The people who went with him were his more trustworthy subordinates. Hiyu stood straight like a pine tree. "I was in a hurry and didn't have time. I didn't expect Miss Gu to be kidnapped. Taking people out without permission is against the rules. Hiyu, you know how serious this matter is. I don't need to say more, right?" "I know." This matter was serious. Mr. Gu had to report it. If he just saved people and didn't cause an explosion, it wouldn't be so serious. "Deputy Commander, I have a few questions. I want to ask Miss Gu." "Can I?" Hiyu suddenly said. Mr. Gu frowned and looked at Shisheng. Shisheng looked at the ground in boredom. She didn't know why they called her here. When she heard Hiyu's words, she became a little more energetic. Her mind spun quickly, and she came to a few conclusions. Shisheng looked up. "What questions?" Hiyu glanced at her. The girl in front of him was wearing a very fashionable sportswear. Even though it was a hot day, she looked fresh and fresh. Her hair was casually draped over her shoulders. Her bangs were rolled up and fixed, revealing her smooth forehead. Her face was the size of a palm. Her eyes were bright and her teeth were white. She looked much better than before. Most importantly, her eyes were clear and calm. He didn't dislike her. Hiyu felt strange but didn't think too much about it. How did Miss Gu escape? Since she was kidnapped with Sumei, why did she escape? I don't know. Maybe the kidnappers woke up and suddenly felt that I was innocent. So they let me go. Anyway, when I woke up, I was in the alley nearby. Shisheng lied through her teeth. There was no one nearby at that time. Even if she said so, no one could prove anything. If no one could prove it, then there was no evidence. Hiyu. Sheng's expression showed that she was talking nonsense. But he didn't have any evidence now. He didn't need to ask any of the questions he had prepared. Unless he caught the kidnappers. How did she manage to escape? He was pressed for time and didn't have time to see the room. He only saw the bomb on the ground. Mr. Gu sensed that the atmosphere was a little strange. He said seriously, do you have any more questions? His daughter couldn't be bullied. No. Mr. Gu waved his hand. Go back first and wait for the follow-up. He glanced at Sheng again. After a collective salute, he left the office with Su Mei. Su Mei stole a glance at Sheng. When she saw that he was looking at her, she immediately looked away and left with Yu. Chapter 12:15. Xiaolan, let me take a look at you. Are you hurt? After Yu and the others left, Mr. Gu immediately became a loving father. How did you get kidnapped? Seriously, I told you not to pester Yu. He's already married, but you didn't listen. What's so good about him? There are so many people in the military who are better than him. Why are you so stubborn? Yu had military merits. Although he would be promoted sooner or later, the key was that he had a girlfriend. If she liked a married man, wouldn't she be destroying his family? That's because she's young and immature. Sheng quickly comforted Mr. Gu. Damn, these fathers like to change their expressions like the male lead. In front of outsiders, they were as stiff as statues, but in front of their daughter, they became chatterboxes. However, the host did do something wrong. There was a saying that there was no corner that couldn't be dug, only a hoe that didn't work hard. But he was already married. That was wrong. There were so many crooked trees in the world. Why did she have to hang on to one? I've thought it through. I don't like him anymore. Mr. Gu was in disbelief. He reached out to touch Sheng's head. You don't have a fever. Are you scared out of your wits? Sheng. Was he really her biological father? Really, I don't like him anymore. Who would dare to like the male lead? She wanted to live for a few more days. The female lead was so cruel when she became evil. She was scared. Mr. Gu was suspicious. Really? He knew how much his daughter liked Yu. He couldn't stop her. Sheng nodded. Would he be able to take my liking to him? It's good that you've thought it through. I'm afraid that you'll be stubborn for the rest of your life. Mr. Gu heaved a sigh of relief. I've raised my daughter for so many years. I don't want to spoil her. Sheng. The host must have been adopted. Mr. Gu coughed. Tell me, who rescued you? Don't fool I. You're not as easy to fool as Yu. Mr. Gu was able to become a deputy commander. He was a good judge of character. Sheng rolled his eyes. Would you believe me if I told you that I suddenly awakened my special ability and ran out on my own? Mr. Gu glared at him. Stop fooling around. Who saved you? Sheng was speechless. Who would save me? No one would save a cannon fodder like me who wouldn't even last 3 episodes. I ran out on my own. Where do you want me to find a savior for you now? Sheng had a serious look on his face. I really awakened my special ability all of a sudden. I broke free from the rope, cut the thread, and ran out. The words I don't believe you were written all over Father Gu's face. Sheng insisted that he had awakened his supernatural ability, but Mr. Gu refused to believe him. Neither side relented. In the end, Gu Nianji's mother called to ask why they were not back for dinner. Don't tell your mother about this. She has a weak heart, Mr. Gu reminded Sheng. Sheng nodded, indicating that he understood. Mr. Gu felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't figure out what it was. When he went to bed that night, Mr. Gu realized that his daughter was not afraid at all. Being kidnapped was such a big deal. If it was in the past, she would have rushed over and cried. Why was she so calm this time? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Mr. Gu got out of bed and wanted to find Sheng, but the person beside him moved. Mr. Gu was afraid of disturbing him, so he suppressed the doubts in his heart and prepared to ask about it tomorrow. The military had punished Yu. This time, Sheng was fine, so Mr. Gu didn't interfere. He just announced the punishment that was given by the higher-ups. Of course, his daughter was kidnapped because of Su Mei, so Mr. Gu didn't give him any face. Although Yu was the male lead, He wasn't tall, rich, or handsome, nor was he the son of an official. But his punishment was only a deduction of his salary and a self-reflection. Shisheng didn't believe that the female lead wasn't involved. Xiaolan, come out and eat watermelon. Okay. Shisheng responded and went out of the room. At this time Mr. Gu wasn't home. Only Mrs. Gu and her were at home. Mrs. Gu was a very gentle woman. She spoke softly and always had a smile on her face. She used to be a teacher in a middle school. Because of her poor health, Mr. Gu didn't allow her to go. There were no refrigerators in this era. Ordinary people couldn't afford to use them. So the watermelon was just soaked in water and didn't taste good. Shisheng didn't say anything and silently finished the watermelon. Mom, I'm going out. Mrs. Gu was cleaning up in the kitchen. When she heard Shisheng's voice, she poked her head out. The sun is so hot. Where are you going? I'm going out for a walk. You're so wild. Come back early. Her child was at the age where she liked to play. Mrs. Gu didn't stop her. She reminded her and gave her some money. It wasn't much, only 5 yuan. However, this amount of money was definitely a lot in this era. Shisheng went out of the courtyard. She had to pass by the military family compound in front. When she went over, there were a few women sitting under a big tree in the courtyard. Some words floated out from inside. They seemed to be talking about Su Mei. Their tone was full of jealousy. It definitely wasn't anything good. Gossiping behind people's backs. Aren't you afraid that the king of hell will pull out your tongues? A woman suddenly scolded. Oh, Mrs. Li, how many things did that little girl give you? Why are you speaking up for her? Mrs. Li, you follow that little girl all day. People who don't know this will think that you're her servant. Several women joined forces to criticize that woman. In the end, it developed into a fight. Shisheng was watching with enthusiasm. Suddenly, a person ran from behind her in a hurry. He ran past her with a gust of hot wind. Su Mei just came back from outside. Seeing the fight in the courtyard, she immediately went forward to stop it. Shisheng found a cool place to squat and watch the fight. She took out a fruit from her space. In this weather, eating melon seeds was a bit heaty. The fight over there was very heated. The female lead tried to calm them down, but it didn't work. Not only did the two sides not stop fighting, but the female lead also suffered. Most of these women came from the countryside, so when they got into a fight, they could spew out all sorts of profanities. If it were a young lady, her face would have turned red. Yet Shisheng's expression didn't change at all. She even seemed to be interested in what was going on. Is it fun? Suddenly, there was a cool breeze behind her. Shisheng turned around abruptly. She didn't know when a man was standing behind her. The tree trunk blocked half of his body. Shisheng. Where did this person come from? It was impossible to be in front, left, or right. Behind them was the wall of the military compound that separated military families. Shisheng looked at him again. He wasn't wearing a military uniform. He was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt, a pair of knee-length pants and slippers. His hair was a bit long. It was a bit too long for people in the district who had buzz cuts. There was an unlit cigarette in his mouth. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Shisheng. He was a bit frivolous. He didn't look like a decent person. This was Shisheng's first reaction. Asterisk friendly reminder. The era is nonsense. It's a parallel universe. Don't worry about it. It can be brought into the 1980s. But the reality is definitely different. I'm not from the 1980s. I don't understand that era. It's pure nonsense. Don't take it seriously. Chapter 12:16. Do I look good? He took the cigarette down and asked again. His voice was a little low and hoarse. The last word sounded sexy as if he had rolled it with the tip of his tongue. He had a bit of a ruffian aura mixed with a bit of darkness. When people were attracted by his appearance, they would fall into his trap. Shisheng threw away the fruit in his hand and stood up from the ground. He raised his chin slightly. What do you mean? The man's lips curled up, and he seemed to be very happy. What do you think? The first sentence he said was about the fight. The second sentence was about whether he looked good or not. Hidden mission. Sharp blade soldier target. Yichun mission. Assist Yichun in training qualified special forces. Sheng was speechless. Yi Chen noticed that the girl's expression changed from fearless to strange. However, other than this, he could not see any other emotions on her face. Sheng said after a while, "You look good." "I don't think you're complimenting me." Yi Chen chuckled. "Little girl, do you always grit your teeth when you lie?" It was as if she wanted to kill him. "I never compliment people." Sheng returned to normal and sneered. "You're the first. Be content." Yi Chen looked at Sheng's change in expression and found it very interesting. "Then I'm honored. I hope the little girl doesn't fall for me." Yi Chen turned and walked out. His voice traveled through the hot air and landed in Sheng's ears. What kind of character did Feng Ci have this time? Sheng looked at the female lead who was about to finish her fight, and then looked at the mission target who was leaving casually. In the end, he chose Yi Chen. The military area was built in a no-man's land. There was a cornfield outside. At this time, the corn was just ripe and there were farmers breaking the corn in the field. Because of the military area, there was a road built here, and it was naturally open to traffic. Yi Chen did not seem to notice that there was a tail following behind him. He walked to the bus stop and waited for the bus. He looked very lazy. If it were not for the fact that he came out of the military region, no one would have thought that he was a soldier. Sheng walked to his side naturally. Yi Chen glanced at her. "Little girl, it's not good to run out alone." Sheng tilted his head and looked at him. "Don't I still have you?" Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. "Me? Do I look like a good person to you?" No. This man was quite good-looking, but he really didn't look like a good person. The roar of the car gradually got closer, and gradually came to a stop. Yi Chen walked towards the car door. "Go back, little girl. The world is a mess." Sheng caught up with him in a few steps. "If you don't take me with you, I'll tell my dad that you snuck out of the military base." Yi Chen already had one foot in the car. He held the car door and tilted his head. "Who's your father?" Deputy Commander Gu. Yi Chen's expression changed. He turned around and got into the car. Suddenly he bent down and said, "Get in." Yi Chen walked to the last seat and sat by the window. Sheng had no choice but to sit in front of him. He didn't say a word to Sheng during the whole journey. The country road was full of potholes, and the car was shaking violently. Sheng felt that the car was comparable to the ancient horse carriages. The car was going to the county town, but Yi Chen got off when they were 2 miles away from the county town. Sheng thought that Yi Chen did it on purpose, so he didn't follow him. He sat in the car and looked at Yi Chen's slightly stunned expression. He sneered and pointed his middle finger at him. "You can walk by yourself. I don't want to play with you." The car stopped at the county town. This county town was the place where Sheng woke up. Because of the military base, the county town was considered to be better off compared to other places. Sheng walked around the streets and didn't see any high-tech products. This world was really hopeless. Forget about computers. Even if there was one, there was no internet. Sheng walked around the streets and bought a popsicle. He sat by the roadside and ate it. This life was really hopeless. Can there be a time machine and rewind the plot 20 years? Even if the female lead is the richest person in the world, I can totally destroy her. Don't be a coward. Kong Mingong. Is the host sick from the heat? Buttface, don't provoke me. I'm very irritable now. I'll explode on the spot. Fine, I won't provoke you. Who cares? Buttface went offline proudly. He was now a system with authority. After eating the popsicle, Sheng barely understood the situation of this world. She still felt that selling things was reliable. Getting rich was too tiring. But this small county town wanted to sell things. What kind of joke was this? So she had to go to a big city. The original owner had been to a big city before. The original owner was studying abroad and had just graduated this year. She hadn't found a job yet. She heard that Father Gu was trying to find a way to let her join the army. She didn't graduate from a military school, so why would she join the army? Wait a minute. It seemed that the hidden mission was to help that idiot train a special forces team. Buttface, how old is Yi Chen? He looks to be in his mid-20s. He can be an instructor at such a young age. That's not how you cheat. He has a strong background. Sheng. I actually have no words to refute. So what if he has a strong background? Shisheng returned to the main topic. How to get to a big city was a problem. Should she fly there? This was a good idea, but it would take some time to sell things. She had to find an excuse to coax Father Gu and Mother Gu. Shisheng wandered aimlessly on the street for a while. Her eyes casually swept through the crowd on the street. Every era had its own characteristics. Hey little girl, are you alone? Do you want to go over there with your brothers to have some fun? A few youths surrounded Shisheng. Their faces were filled with lewd smiles as their gazes swept over her chest with malicious intent. Shisheng was wearing a one-piece dress. Fortunately, it was more conservative and didn't reveal anything that shouldn't be exposed. She met the gaze of one of the young men, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a strange sneer. Lele. What kind of fun? Oh little beauty, you're so sensible. Come, brother will take you over there to talk. The young man pointed to an alley. Don't do that. Let's have fun here. I was being flirted with. Where was I's sword? The young man could hear the gloominess in Shisheng's voice. He suddenly felt a little scared on such a hot day. He glanced around. There were few people here. Everyone was doing their own things and didn't pay much attention to them. She was just a little girl. He didn't believe that she could do anything. The young man became bolder and winked at the people next to him. It was obvious that it wasn't the first time these people had done this kind of thing. They already had a tacit understanding. However, before they could make a move, the little girl made a move first. The young man standing closest to her was the first to suffer. He screamed and squatted down holding his crotch. Although it was a little dirty to kick someone's groin, this method was the most effective. So, it didn't matter if it was dirty or not, as long as it worked. * more chapters. # 4,000 monthly votes. Chapter 12-17. These young men used to be hooligans in town. Everyone disliked them, but there was nothing they could do about it and could only avoid them. But now a young lady had knocked down a few of them alone. The surrounding crowd had no choice but to come and watch the show. Do you still want Lele? Shisheng stood in front of the young man who said he wanted Lele. No, we were wrong. We were possessed and offended, Mississippi. We're sorry. The young man apologized with a swollen face. Was she really a girl? She chose to hit the most painful part and even hit the face. This kind of person had to be arrested. It would be a disaster if he was released. So Shisheng asked someone to find the police. The young man relaxed when he heard that the police were going to find him. After all, he had someone backing him. But before he could feel happy, he realized that the police officers were even more respectful to Shisheng. Only then did they realize that they had kicked an iron plate. Shisheng came out of the police station and saw Yichen leaning against the door of the police station. He raised his eyebrows at Shisheng meaningfully. Under the sunlight, his face seemed to be plated with gold. Little girl, you're bringing trouble to your father by using his identity. Shisheng pursed his lips and said calmly, I was bullied. What's wrong with me telling you which family I'm from? Moreover, the police officers were the ones who asked. What did it have to do with her? Yichen chuckled and suddenly moved closer to her. You were exposed just now. Shisheng's expression did not change. Underwear idiot. Yichen was speechless. Why was this little girl so calm? He thought about how fierce she was just now. It seemed normal for her to be so calm. Shisheng walked past him. Yichen watched Shisheng leave. He took out a cigarette and held it in his mouth. The corner of his lips curled up habitually. He then turned and left in the opposite direction of Shisheng. Hey! Yichen turned around. The girl who left just now was walking toward him quickly. Her face was expressionless and her eyes were as cold as a 1,000-year-old lake. Little girl, what are you doing? Yichen turned around and asked her with a smile. Shisheng looked at him in confusion. What do you mean? Didn't you call me just now? The corners of Shisheng's mouth twitched. He pointed at the girl behind her and said, She's calling you. The little girl was already in front of him. She was panting as she handed over an army green bag. Her face was slightly red. You left this behind. A trace of doubt flashed across Yichen's eyes, but he quickly reached out to take the bag. Thank you. The little girl had probably never seen such a good-looking person before. Her face flushed red, and she waved her hand. No need to thank me. Then he fled. Yichen carried his bag and squinted at Shisheng. Didn't you go that way just now? Why are you following me now? Are you interested in me? Shisheng was speechless. Come on, let's fight. Even if it was Feng Xiai, he was asking for a beating. He had to find a secluded place to put a gunny sack over him and beat him up. Yichen probably sensed the faint murderous aura emanating from Shisheng, so he restrained his frivolous expression. I'm just joking. Little girl, don't be so nervous. Hurry up and go back. Don't follow me anymore. Shisheng rolled his eyes at Yichen. Take the car and go that way. Are you out of your mind? Yichen laughed. Little girl, can you speak without being sarcastic? It was simply infuriating to talk to her. If her words were not sarcastic, her tone would be sarcastic. If her tone was not sarcastic, her words would be sarcastic. Yet he was still arrogant and conceited, thinking that he was the only one in the world. He had seen many people like her, but those people were just for show. They were nothing without their families. Only this little girl, Shisheng said calmly. If you think that others are sarcastic, it's because you already have a conclusion in your heart. No matter what others say, you'll think that they're targeting you. Why did the same words have different meanings in different people's ears? Because your relationship with others is different, the meaning you hear is also different. Perhaps the other person was just joking, but you have a prejudice against the other person. When you hear it, you feel that the other person is showing off or mocking you. As a person, you must first correct your own attitude. You don't need others to have a conscience. You only need to have a clear conscience. How old are you? Why do you act like an old man? Ideological awareness is related to experience, but it has nothing to do with age. Shisheng paused and did not continue. He did not want to feed her this kind of chicken soup. Yichen smiled ambiguously. Hurry up and go back. There won't be any more buses if you're late. Shisheng's gaze paused on the bag in his hand for a few seconds and brushed past him. Shisheng did not go back immediately. Instead, he went to buy a map. When she was done, she caught the last bus. At this time, there were factory workers who had just gotten off work. The bus was very crowded and full of people on a hot day. It was obvious how touching the smell was. Shisheng got off the bus after one stop. It was better to fly back by herself. Shisheng returned to the military family compound just in time for dinner. If you didn't come back, I would have asked your father to look for you. Mrs. Gu glared at Shisheng. Go wash your hands. I'll send the food to your father after dinner. You're exaggerating. I'm an adult. How can I get lost? Shisheng said as he walked to the toilet. You won't get lost, but if you were kidnapped, where would your mother find you? Shisheng poked his head out of the toilet. There are human traffickers? Yes. I heard from your father that a few young girls have gone missing recently. They probably met with human traffickers. The world is chaotic now. Don't go out and run around. It's worrying. Shisheng came out with his hands full of water. In this era, human traffickers were indeed prevalent. The laws and whatnot had not been perfected yet. Moreover, there were very few roads between the county and the village. If she was really kidnapped, who would be able to find her in a small village? Mrs. Gu nagged for a long time at the dining table. When Shisheng finished his meal, she urged him to send food to Mr. Gu. After all, he was the deputy commander. He had the privilege of sending food to his family. The military compound was separated from the military compound by a wall. However, the gate was open for people from the military compound to enter and exit. The guards at the gate all knew her. After a simple registration, they let her in. At this time, a group of people was still running on the field. It was said that they were new recruits. They were punished because they did not finish their training in time. Shisheng went around the field and went to Mr. Gu's office building. There were sentries guarding the building. Shisheng needed someone to lead him in. As soon as she went upstairs, she saw two people standing at the door of Mr. Gu's office. Did you find her? No. She disappeared in the afternoon. Should we report this? Report what? Hide it. That's not good. The person who was talking suddenly saw Shisheng coming up with the sentries. He stopped talking. Hey, Xiaolon is here. Uncle Zhao. Shisheng greeted him obediently. This was the chief of staff of the military region. He had a good relationship with Mr. Gu. Okay. Old Gu, you eat first. I'll send someone to look for her. If there's no news before 8 o'clock, I'll report it. Chapter 12:18. Dad, are you looking for him? Shisheng walked into the office with his stuff. Mr. Gu sighed. He's a troublemaker sent by the higher-ups. He arrived a few days ago but ran away as soon as he arrived. It's good that nothing happened. Forget it. You won't understand anyway. What are we eating today? These were all work-related matters. This was his daughter. He only complained a little, but he didn't get to the point. Shisheng didn't continue asking. Braised pork. Mom is biased. She saved a lot of meat for you. There's meat. Mr. Gu laughed. No wonder I could smell it from afar. Your mom cares about me unlike you. You only know how to make trouble for me. Shisheng. She had no choice but to take the blame for the original owner of this body. The living conditions were tough. Even Mr. Gu could only eat meat twice a week. The rest of the time he only ate vegetables. Before Mr. Gu finished his meal, He suddenly came in. He, what's the matter? Mr. Gu pushed the lunchbox away and sat up straight. He instantly regained his authority as a senior officer. He came in from outside. Sir, we worked with the town's police to catch the kidnapper. He has confessed. Mr. Gu nodded. It's good that it's over. Don't be so impulsive. The punishment this time wasn't heavy, but it won't be so easy next time. To put it more seriously, it will affect your advancement. The kidnapper also told us something related to Miss Gu. He glanced at Shisheng, who was standing by the window. Mr. Gu frowned. Speak. He looked straight ahead. Miss Gu said that the kidnapper let her go. But the kidnapper said that he didn't let Miss Gu go. I'm curious. How did Miss Gu leave? Did I say that the kidnapper let me go? Shisheng looked at He amused. He's face was cold. The chief can testify. Shisheng sneered. What I meant was, maybe I don't need to explain what it means. I was unconscious at that time. How would I know who let me go? She didn't make the final decision. Xiaolon did say that. Mr. Gu agreed with Shisheng. A few days ago he didn't manage to get anything out of her. He even had a long talk with her about her sudden boldness. Shisheng's excuse was that he would be bullied if he was too timid to study outside. Moreover, she rarely went home when she was studying abroad. It was said that girls changed 18 times between childhood and womanhood, so wasn't it normal for her to change? Mr. Gu was stunned by Shisheng's **t excuse. In the end, he could only half believe it. He was speechless, but from his expression, it was obvious that he suspected that the Shisheng had colluded with the criminals. His imagination was on point. If she had come earlier, she would have colluded with the criminal and killed the female lead first. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Mr. Gu waved his hand, and his expression was obviously a little impatient. This matter was related to his daughter. Of course, he had to protect his precious daughter. He left unwillingly. Shisheng was interrogated by Mr. Gu again in the office. In the end, Shisheng was able to talk her way out of it. She hurriedly left the office. When she went downstairs, she saw He waiting outside. He went up to her and asked, Gulan, did you do it? This matter was very strange. They were arrested together. Why was she the only one who escaped? Shisheng's eyes were cold. Sergeant, you have to have evidence before you speak. What evidence do you have to prove that I did it? Then you have to explain clearly. Why were you released after being kidnapped? He couldn't figure out this suspicious point. You're unhappy that I'm not dead, right? Why don't you kill me now? Shisheng raised his chin arrogantly. In the past she would always pester him when she saw him. But these 2 times, Hiyu's face was cold. Miss Gu Justice has a long arm. I will not let any criminal off. Oh, then all the best. Damn it, there are always idiots who want to harm me. Shisheng came out of the military area. When he passed by the courtyard where the female lead lived, The female lead was talking to the woman from before. Seeing her come over, Sume immediately greeted her with a face full of concern. Miss Gu, are you okay after what happened last time? Sigh, I'm lucky that you didn't come up to me. Please don't come to me to seek death. Look for trouble, okay? Let this Baobao act cool in peace. Shisheng took a deep breath. Thanks to you, I was almost scared to death. Sume didn't expect Shisheng to say this. She was embarrassed but quickly apologized. I'm sorry, Miss Gu. It's all my fault. Not many people knew about Sume's kidnapping. This matter was related to the commander of the military area and the beloved daughter of the deputy commander. Who would dare to publicize it? Miss Gu, please wait. I'll get you some fruits to calm you down. Sume didn't wait for Shisheng's rebuttal and turned to go upstairs. She quickly came down with a bag of fruits. The military area was too remote. Usually, people who wanted to eat fruits had to go to the county. Good fruits were not cheap. Sume came down with a bag of apples. The apples were very big and didn't look cheap. Shisheng didn't plan to wait for her. He had already walked some distance away, but Sume still caught up with him. Sume stopped him and handed him the bag. She said sincerely, Miss Gu, this is for you to calm down. I didn't expect him to be so bold as to kidnap you. I'm really sorry. Sume bowed as she spoke. Before Shisheng could react, he suddenly felt a disgusted gaze staring at him from behind. He subconsciously took a step to the side. At this moment, the bag in Sume's hand suddenly broke. The apples inside fell out and rolled far away. The people standing behind looked as if Shisheng did it on purpose. Miss Gu. He walked a few steps to Sume. You don't have to go overboard even if you look down on our fruits. Didn't your family teach you to respect people? Shisheng. This kind of coincidence, I'm convinced. And the male lead, based on your tone, if it were a female supporting character, she would make things difficult for you. F*CKU. Where's I's sword? Yes, other people make things difficult for you. But you want to draw your sword directly. Shisheng's expression turned fierce. If you continue to spout nonsense, I will kill you. Ask your wife what happened just now. Shisheng's sudden fierceness not only shocked Hiyu, but also Sume. Of course she wasn't scared. She was just surprised. She looked at Shisheng suspiciously, tugged at Hiyu's sleeve and explained. Hiyu, the bag suddenly broke. It has nothing to do with Miss Gu. I want to apologize to Miss Gu for what happened last time. I implicated her. Hiyu frowned. Why are you apologizing to her? This matter hasn't been investigated yet. Don't you think so, Miss Gu? You don't feel good if you don't put the blame on I, do you? I have a bad temper. Do you believe that I will make you a cuckold? Shisheng looked around. The sky was already dark, and there wasn't anyone around. The person who spoke to Sume just now had also gone in. They were outside the military zone. It shouldn't be a problem to fight, right? There was nothing to be afraid of. At most, they could destroy the entire military zone. Shisheng cracked her wrist and smiled sinisterly. Company Commander I want to spar with you. Chapter 12:19. On the train, all the special class tickets were sold out, so Shisheng had to buy a first-class seat. As soon as she got on the train, she covered her head and fell asleep. While she was in a daze, a shout came from the end of the carriage. Catch him. He's a thief. Shisheng was startled by the shout and looked up in the direction of the voice. A man in black was running over, followed by a young man. The young man should be the one who shouted to catch the thief. Ha! Shisheng turned to the side, not intending to pay attention to these people. When the man was about to reach her, another man suddenly stood out and kicked the man in the back. The man staggered and fell in front of Shisheng. Someone in front of him stood up and blocked the way. Seeing that there was no way to escape, the man became anxious and pulled up a woman sitting opposite Shisheng. A knife appeared in his hand, and he put it on the woman's neck. Don't come over, or I'll kill her. The people who had been watching the show became nervous. This was a human life. Shisheng was right beside the man, and could see the woman's expression. She didn't panic and just tried to cooperate with the thief so that he wouldn't hurt her. It seemed that she was a person who was often held hostage. Don't come over, don't come over. Let her go. Stealing is a small matter, but killing is another matter. The man who kicked the woman said in a low voice. Shisheng glanced at him. He was a burly man with a buzz cut, a square face, and a scar on the tip of his eyebrow. His body was standing straight. Although he was wearing ordinary clothes, he was wearing a pair of military boots. He was a soldier. I don't want to do this, but I have no choice. Let me go. I promise I won't hurt her. Let me get off the train, the thief shouted. Okay, but there's still some distance to the next stop. Don't be agitated. We'll let you go. For the safety of the hostage, the man with a square face comforted the thief. Really? As long as you don't hurt anyone. Really? The man with a square face nodded. The thief probably knew that it was impossible to stop the train now, so he didn't refute the man. The man with a square face kept talking to the thief to lower his guard. The thief spoke intermittently about his experience. His hometown had been hit by a flood, and his whole family had died. He was starving, and that was why he became a thief. This was his second time working, but he didn't expect to be discovered. In this world, you can't write off what you've done just by acting pitiful. There are plenty of people who are more pitiful than you, but more hard-working than you. Going the wrong way is going the wrong way. The square-faced man probably saw that it was about time. He gave the person behind the thief a look, and the person behind him carefully approached the thief. At this time, the thief probably saw the reaction of the other passengers and guessed something. He pulled the woman and turned around. The knife accidentally cut the woman's neck and blood splattered. The warm liquid dripped onto Shisheng's face, and the smell of blood assaulted his nose. Shisheng's body paused for a second. She raised her hand to wipe her cheeks before standing up. The thief was standing with his back to her, so naturally he couldn't see her. But the square-faced man and the others could see it. Shisheng turned his head. Under the astonished gazes of the square-faced man and the others, he suddenly reached out and grabbed the thief's hand. He twisted it to the back, and the woman escaped from his grip. Shisheng pushed the woman, and the woman fell to the opposite seat. The men on the other side reacted quickly, and moved the woman to the back to stop the bleeding. Shisheng threw the thief to the ground, and put his hands behind his back. She looked up at the square-faced man, who was still in a daze. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to help you take him to the police station? The square-faced man came back to his senses, and went forward to grab the thief. After a long commotion, the car finally quieted down. Shisheng had already sat back down and looked out of the window with a cold expression. The other passengers looked at her carefully. This young lady was so arrogant just now. The square-faced man finished talking to the police and sat down opposite Shisheng. Young lady, thank you. Shisheng turned his gaze back. Under the square-faced man's gaze, he said indifferently, the blood splashed on me. The square-faced man. You don't care if the blood didn't splash on you? The square-faced man recalled the scene just now. He didn't see her reaction when the thief came over. But when the thief kidnapped her, she just sat there and didn't move at all. He thought she was scared. In the end, it was this young lady who saved the man. Young lady, you were so cool just now. You must have practiced it before. A slightly younger man leaned on the seat behind the square-faced man. He grinned, revealing two cute little canine teeth. Shisheng ignored him. Mommy said not to talk to strangers. Canine teeth didn't feel awkward at all. He said like a chatterbox. If it wasn't for you, who knows what would have happened? There aren't many girls who are as brave as you. I have a younger sister who is about the same age as you. If she encountered such a thing, she would have been scared to tears. Xiaosheng, the square-faced man scolded. Xiaosheng pursed his lips. Big brother, you can speak freely. Why are you interfering? The square-faced man glared at him. Xiaosheng scratched his head and shrank back. The square-faced man thanked Shisheng again, and returned to his seat. When they were about to get out of the car, the woman who was kidnapped came to thank Shisheng. I didn't mean to save you. He violated my taboo. Shisheng didn't mince his words. So you don't have to thank me. You're just lucky. The woman was stunned. The young lady in front of her was expressionless. Her eyes were calm, as if she didn't care about anything. The woman's thoughts spun, but in the end she bowed. Anyway, thank you. My name is Huang Mylin. If you have any trouble in the future, you can find me at Dongfeng Department Store. Shisheng glanced at her. Dongfeng Department Store? The woman nodded slightly. As long as there's a Dongfeng Department Store, you can find me at any place with my name. Shisheng smiled. Maybe we will become enemies. The woman looked at Shisheng in confusion. Miss, what do you mean? Nothing. You will understand in the future. Huang Mylin, one of the female lead's benefactors. At this time, she should be able to meet the female lead this time. If she had known that she was the female lead's benefactor, she would have waited until she died. What a loss. We are about to arrive at Luoyang Station. Passengers who need to get out of the car, please get ready. The announcer began to announce the station. Shisheng stood up from his seat and brushed past Huang Mylin. Huang Mylin also got out of the car at Luoyang Station. Naturally, she followed behind Shisheng. She could tell that Shisheng didn't want to talk to her, so she tactfully didn't approach him. The square-faced man and Xiaosheng with canine teeth also got out of the car here, so the group of people stood at the entrance. Huang Mylin took the opportunity to solemnly thank the square-faced man and the others. Asterisk, the female lead's golden finger should be left to the female lead. I, Shisheng, don't need it. That's how awesome I am. That's how willful I am. Chapter 12:20. The train only stopped at the city. After leaving Luoyang Station, they still needed to take a car to the county. Huang Mylin's destination was Luoyang City, so she left immediately after getting off the train. Shisheng was walking in front. When the square-faced man turned around, Shisheng was already gone. Shisheng returned to the military area and found that the military area was still under martial law. Everyone looked serious. It's been so long, and it still hasn't been solved? The male lead is too weak. Father Gu hadn't been home for several days, and the mountain behind the military area was sealed off. Occasionally, military trucks could be seen passing between the military area and the military family compound, heading straight for the back mountain. There were also more sentries in the military family compound. Shisheng sat in the yard and asked Mother Gu, who was washing clothes, "Mom, what happened back there?" "I don't know." Mother Gu frowned. "It's been under martial law since the night you left. I don't know if your father has been eating well these days." Shisheng. Out of 3 sentences, 2 of them were about Father Gu. The single wolf expressed that he was very hurt. It's everyone's responsibility to protect small animals. Shisheng asked again. "Mom, have you seen Sumei these days?" "Sumei? The one from Sergeant He's family? Didn't your father say that you've already thought it through? Why are you still thinking about someone else's wife? Let me tell you, Sergeant He has a girlfriend. Don't mess around anymore. Your father is suppressing this matter. Otherwise, the people outside would have said a lot of nasty things. You're a girl. If your reputation is ruined, how can you get married in the future?" "Shisheng, I'm just asking if the female lead is here. Why are you imagining so much? She might as well go and see for herself instead of asking Mother Gu." Sumei hadn't been back for several days, and the people in the compound didn't know where she went. Shisheng scratched his head. Why did that idiot Feng Xi always wait for I to save him? There were too many things to complain about, but he didn't know where to start. Mother Gu had a bad heart, so Shisheng could only sneak out after she fell asleep at night. The area near the military area had been reclaimed and planted with crops. There was also a large open space next to it. At this time, there were many cars parked in the open space, and the whole mountain was sealed off. Shisheng avoided the guards and sneaked up the mountain. Where there were no crops, the mountains were covered with thorns, making it difficult to walk. After crawling some distance in the Shisheng, she felt like going back to sleep. Other female leads were always waiting for their male leads to save them. Why did she have to work herself to death to save them? Isn't your Feng Xi the female lead? The system complained. You're right. Shisheng murmured and continued to climb up. Buttface, give me the coordinates. How long will it take me to find them? Host, look for it yourself. Buttface, you bastard. His name was not Buttface. Shisheng. Buttface, you're just showing off. When it could show off, of course, it had to seize the time. Who knew when it wouldn't be able to show off? Shisheng crawled a little further. If she found the person, she would definitely beat him up. Damn it, of all places. Why did he choose to run so deep into the forest? Even if she went to heaven, she would not be able to find him. When Shisheng was halfway up the mountain, he saw traces of human activity. Someone was better than nothing. Following the traces, he crawled a little further up the mountain. Then he went around half the mountain, went down the mountain, and climbed up another mountain. On the way, he met the army searching the mountain. These people were just following orders. As for why they were searching the mountain, they did not know. Shisheng walked around the other mountain. At noon the next day, he finally saw a living person who was not a soldier. That person seemed to be on guard. Shisheng went up and kicked him. Before he could scream, the iron sword was placed on his neck. Don't scream. Swords don't have eyes. The man swallowed. Who are you? He had suddenly appeared and he did not notice at all. Was he a ghost? I'll ask and you'll answer. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Do you understand? The man looked at the sword on his neck and chose to give in. Have you ever seen a handsome man who deserves a beating? You're too vague. How was he supposed to answer this? Shisheng described Yi Chen's outfit that day. Have you seen him? The man's eyes darted around. No one knew what he was thinking. Shisheng suddenly put away his sword. Go ahead and scream. This person must have companions. Let's get him and kill him all at once. The man was dumbfounded. He did not dare to scream. If the people searching the mountain heard him, he would be in trouble. However, he did not need to scream to report. Soon, rustling sounds came from behind. A few men appeared with guns. When they saw their companions, the man immediately got up from the ground. One of the men asked, "Where did this little girl come from?" "I don't know. She suddenly appeared." The man snorted. Damn it. He was actually scared by a little girl. Another man suddenly laughed. Capture her. Life on the mountain is *king inhumane. It's good to have a woman to relieve the stress. What do you think? This was simply a gift from the heavens. Her origin is unknown. What's there to be afraid of? Just kill her and throw her anywhere. Shisheng felt that these people were really disrespecting her by discussing this issue in front of her. While the people on the other side were still fantasizing, Shisheng had already slashed at them. How dare you have ideas about I? You're awesome. Do you know who I am? When I was the boss, you were still nowhere to be found. *CK. Shoot her. No, we'll attract the army. If you don't shoot now, she'll kill us. Where did this little girl come from? They thought that she was a delicate flower, but who knew that she was a domineering flower? Shoot her, shoot her. Shisheng did not give them a chance to shoot. He directly shot the two people with guns first, then dealt with the rest. After tying them up, Shisheng held the gun and pointed it at them. Do you have any other companions? The people who were tied up wanted to cry, but no tears came out. They did not fall into the hands of the army, but fell into the hands of a little girl. This was a *king disgrace. No. One of the men pretended to be calm and replied, all of us are here. Shisheng pointed the gun at him and sneered, liar. It's okay if you don't want to talk. You can't run far anyway. Shisheng removed the gun in a few moves. His movements were very fast, like a performance. Everyone was stunned. When they came back to their senses, the gun had already been broken into parts and was thrown to the ground by her. She stood up, held the sword, and helped them up. After tying them all to the tree, she walked in the direction they came from. Shisheng came back quickly, dragging two people with him. The little girl was expressionless. She dragged the two people as if they were two pieces of wood. The two people who were dragged by her did not react at all. It was as if they were dead. They stumbled on the ground with their heads covered in blood. They were scared just looking at them. This little girl was too cruel. Boo-hoo, there was a pervert on the mountain. #today. I want to buy tickets for long red #daily ticket 233333. Come on, my cute cherub, give me all your tickets. Chapter 12:21. Shisheng tossed the two people who were either dead or alive in front of them before sitting down on a large, smooth rock. She placed her feet to the side, displaying her roguish temperament. The weather's pretty good. Let's chat. What was nice about it? They were tied up like dumplings in such hot weather, and were in danger. It was not nice to think about it. They had been bad guys for a long time, and felt that they were the most unreasonable. However, when they met someone who was even more unreasonable than them, they could only admit defeat. What do you want to know? This woman did not look like she was from the military. Could she be from another organization? People from the military would not dare to act so recklessly. In these people's eyes, the military was a weird organization that they had to ask for permission to have a meal. Shisheng said briskly, "It's nothing. Don't be nervous. I just want to know if you have seen someone." A man 1.8 meters tall, wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and black pants. His hair was long and his face was so handsome that people could eat his face. He might or might not have an army green bag. I'm not sure. Who has seen him? Everyone was speechless. What did she mean by his face was so handsome that people could eat his face? What kind of description was that? She's not talking about that guy, is she? I think so. Everyone looked at each other. It was all thanks to that brat that they were trapped in the mountains by the military. It was all thanks to that brat that they were in this situation. What kind of grudge did he have against them? Shisheng waited for a moment and asked, "Have you figured it out? Will you let us go after you find him?" Let you go? Why would I let you go? You aren't suspects. You look like you have done a lot of bad things. Even if I kill you, I will be doing the people a favor. Maybe they will give me an award or something. Shisheng said as he crossed his legs. Everyone was speechless. How could those people from the military give you an award? This little girl's brain must have been flooded with water. If you kill us, you will never know where he is. That's good. If you die, you can go down to accompany him. Shisheng didn't fly into a rage as they had expected. Instead, he curled the corners of his mouth into a sinister smile. It's just a change of map. You guys are different. You won't have a second chance if you die. She purposely dragged out the last part of her voice. It was clearly a soft and pleasant voice, but at this moment, it echoed through the mountains like a vengeful spirit demanding for a life. Everyone understood that this person might not be that important to her. One of them suddenly asked in a deep voice, "Are you also here for the 9 Qilin Cup?" 9 Qilin Cup? Judging from the name, this should be the side quest that Buttface had mentioned. What kind of lousy name was that? It was too careless. The 9 dragons were called the 9 Dragons Cup, and the 9 Qilins were called the 9 Qilin Cup. What would the 9 worms be called? 9 Bug Cup? We can work together. How about we split the profits 50-50? Seeing that Shisheng didn't say anything, the man thought that he had guessed right and immediately offered his terms. Shisheng glanced at him and stood up from the rock. He sneered. It seems that you don't know where he is either. They hadn't gotten the 9 Qilin Cup yet. Otherwise, they wouldn't have offered to work together. We know where he is, the man quickly said. We were just about to chase after him when you came. We can work together. Right now there are soldiers everywhere. Even if you get the 9 Qilin Cup alone, you can't leave. Shisheng walked closer to them and snorted. Who told you that I'm enemies with the military? Everyone. This bandit style, could it be that he was also from the military? How could it be? Shisheng picked up the gun on the ground and slowly assembled it. He loaded the gun and pointed it at one of the men. The man gasped and cold sweat dripped down his face. Who are you? Chinibusheng came online. I'm your savior. Everyone. Bang. The gunshot rang through the forest and startled countless birds. The search team heard the gunshot and immediately turned around and ran over. However, when they arrived, they only saw the criminal tied to a tree with a pale face. Shisheng continued to climb up. The sky gradually darkened. She had already made up her mind that if she couldn't find him, she would go back to sleep. Perhaps Ergo was afraid that Shisheng would quit, so he gave her a vague coordinate. Shisheng followed the coordinate and found Yichen, who had fallen into the cave. And the female lead. Don't ask me why the female lead is here. Who knows what the plot is up to? Sheng squatted at the entrance of the cave. Yichen looked up at the person above and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's her again. Little girl, pull me up, Yichen shouted. His voice echoed endlessly in the cave. Su Mei seemed to have fainted. She fell to the side and didn't respond. Sheng sat down in the cave. Let's settle the score first. Can't you pull me up first? What was there to settle with her? It's cold down here. Have you touched her? Sheng ignored Yichen and pointed at Su Mei. Even her hair counts. Yichen. What kind of question was that? Yichen looked at Sheng suspiciously. However, he was at the bottom of the cave while she was at the top. The light was so strong that he couldn't see the emotions on her face. However, from her tone he could tell that if he answered wrongly, she might just throw him down or even kill him. When she fell, she hit me. It was an uncontrollable factor. He didn't know where this woman came from. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have fallen down here. After falling down, he didn't care about her anymore. Sheng's eyes darkened. He wanted to kill someone. Host, please calm down. You haven't confirmed whether he's Feng Ci or not, right? Why are you so agitated? Sheng calmed down and replied to the system in his heart. You let it slip just now. Did I? I don't think so, right? The system couldn't remember when it had let it slip and allowed the host to deduce the answer. It was confused and didn't care about Sheng anymore. Sheng looked down at the person below and suddenly jumped down from the cave. Yichen looked at the person standing in front of him and was a little stunned. You jumped down? How are we going to go up later? Sheng walked straight to Su Mei and took out a dagger. Yichen just watched without any intention of stopping him. Sheng approached Su Mei. Before he could stab her with the dagger, a voice came from above the cave. Sheng. Did he have to be so timely? F*CKU. Sheng wanted to stab her, but he realized that the air was obstructing him. He couldn't stab her at all. The voice was getting closer and closer. F*CK. Sheng put away the dagger and dragged the female lead to a position further back. The people above wouldn't be able to see her. She quickly walked back and pulled Yichen over. Yichen staggered and was a little unsteady. Sheng frowned at him. Yichen's mouth twitched. I sprained my ankle. Chapter 12:22. Yichen looked at the young lady in front of him who wanted him to change his clothes. He had lived for so long, but this was the first time he met such a domineering person. Women. Yichen leaned against the tree behind him and smiled frivolously. Little girl, don't you think it's dangerous for a man like me to change clothes in the wilderness? Sheng glanced at him. It's easy for me to kill you. Cut the crap and change. Why don't you help me change? Yichen winked at Sheng. I'll help you change your arm. Do you want it? Sheng sneered. Yichen was speechless. So fierce. Yichen glanced at the sword in her hand and reached out to pick up the white shirt on the ground. The material was very comfortable, at least much more comfortable than the ones he had seen before. Little girl, do you want to see me take off my clothes? Yichen saw that Sheng had no intention of turning around and could not help but ask. Sheng crossed his arms. I also want to see you take off your pants. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Yichen's expression froze. Deputy Commander Gu, if you know you're so... Yichen swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. He held on to the tree and turned around. During special times, if the mountain did not come to his side, he would go to the mountain. Yichen changed his clothes and came out. The shirt had long sleeves, but it was too hot, so he could only roll it up. His pants were also rolled up halfway. It was too hot. He was wearing a good set of clothes, but he was wearing a gangster's outfit. Come here. Yichen saw Sheng standing in front of a clear spring in the distance. He was a little thirsty, so he did not think much and skipped over. When he walked into the spring, he squatted down and wanted to drink the water. As soon as he stretched his hand, it was grabbed by a pair of hands and pressed into the water without any explanation. She lowered her head slightly and washed his hands in the water. She used a little too much strength, so he could see that his hands were already red. After washing his hands, she soaked a handkerchief in the water, wrung it dry and threw it at his face. Yi Chen leaned back to avoid the handkerchief. Shi Sheng's brows furrowed slightly. Her expressionless face turned sinister in an instant. Little girl, I can do this myself. Yi Chen wanted to take away the handkerchief in Shi Sheng's hand. At this moment, he felt that it was not a handkerchief but a weapon. She wanted to suffocate him. Shi Sheng ignored Yi Chen. He held him down and forcefully wiped his face for more than 10 minutes. Yi Chen felt a burning sensation on his face, neck and arms. A layer of his skin had been rubbed off. What kind of grudge did he have with her? Yi Chen put down his sleeves to cover his red arm. Looking at it reminded him of the inhuman experience just now. He was terrified. Little girl, you really don't care about that woman? She brought herself up to the cave, but she ignored the woman and moved her to a place where she couldn't see from above. Don't mention her to me. Shi Sheng looked at him coldly. If you dare to mention her again, I'll kill you. Yi Chen was speechless. Yi Chen's IQ suddenly came online. She had asked him a question when they were in the cave. She asked if he had touched that woman. Do you like me? Yi Chen suddenly moved closer to Shi Sheng. I didn't do it, so I don't know. Shi Sheng stood up. The gloominess in his tone disappeared, leaving only calmness. Yi Chen was speechless. Why did this sentence sound a little ambiguous? Yi Chen pursed his lips slightly and the corners of his mouth rose. If someone who knew him well was here, they would know that he was in a good mood and was interested in something. Little girl, help me up. Shi Sheng turned to look at him. Did you break your leg? I can't walk. Yi Chen smiled and nodded. I'm afraid that I'll fall down the mountain. Shi Sheng turned his head and walked 2 steps. She paused for a while before turning around and walking back. Yi Chen looked at her calmly, as if he knew that she would come back. Shi Sheng held his hand. Yi Chen put half of his strength on her, and put one hand on her shoulder. He leaned forward. Little girl, I really didn't touch her. Shi Sheng raised his head slightly and nodded. Then he helped him down the mountain. Wait, I want to go up the mountain. Yi Chen pointed at the mountain. Shi Sheng was impatient. No, you can go by yourself. How can I go up like this? Little girl, you've already saved me. Why don't you send me up? Send Buddha to the west? Shi Sheng's lips curved into an evil smile. Do you know what kind of person goes to the west? Do you want to try? Can you bear to? Yi Chen deliberately moved closer to Shi Sheng. His hot breath sprinkled on the side of her face. Shi Sheng did not have the shyness of a little girl. He was still indifferent. I'll satisfy all your requests. Yi Chen was a little frustrated. How could this little girl be so calm? He moved closer and his lips landed on her face. It was very light, like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. He quickly pulled away, wanting to see her reaction. However, she did not have any reaction. She turned her face slightly and looked at him with a faint smile. Yi Chen did not flirt with her. Instead, his heart beat faster. Yi Chen suppressed his abnormal heartbeat and looked at Shi Sheng. Then I want to go up the mountain. Shi Sheng gritted his teeth and said angrily. Are there fairies on the mountain? Do you have to go up? Yi Chen snorted. There are no fairies, but there is the god of fortune. Shi Sheng narrowed his eyes. 9 Qilin cup? The frivolous look on Yi Chen's face slowly faded. How did you know? Shi Sheng sneered. I tied up the group of people who were chasing you. They told me. Yi Chen was speechless. Shi Sheng did not want to go up the mountain. It was too tiring. However, Yi Chen insisted on going up. Shi Sheng let go of him. Go by yourself. I'll wait for you here. Yi Chen was speechless. This woman was different from other women. She traveled a long way to save him. Then, she left him behind just because of a request to go up the mountain? Thinking about how she said that she would kill him, it was not strange for her to leave him behind. Yi Chen looked at the path up the mountain. In the end, he started to climb up the mountain with the help of a tree. Halfway up, he turned his head and looked down. The young lady was sitting at the bottom, looking at him with her chin propped up. Fragments of sunlight fell from above and landed mottled around her. The swaying light spots flashed through her eyes like fireflies. As the saying went, man fights for dignity, Buddha fights for incense. Yi Chen gritted his teeth and continued to climb up the mountain. When Yi-Chen woke up, he found himself lying in the hospital. There was a person dressed as a nurse beside him, checking his foredrip. Hey, you're awake? The nurse saw that he was awake and blushed. Why am I here? Yi-Chen was a little dizzy. The nurse looked at such a handsome man, and her face became redder. You had a heat stroke. Heat stroke? How could it be? Who sent me here? It's a young lady. She went to settle the hospitalization procedures for you. Is she your sister? The nurse asked cautiously. No. Yi-Chen denied. The nurse was disappointed. If it was not his sister, then it should be his girlfriend. Such a handsome man had a girlfriend. Sigh. Chapter 12:23. Shisheng settled the hospitalization procedures and called Mrs. Gu. After comforting her, she prepared to go back. Just as she turned around, a few people suddenly rushed in. The leader was Hiyu, and he anxiously called out, "Doctor, doctor." They were dressed in military uniforms and had an extraordinary aura. Everyone around them looked at them respectfully. The nurse who heard them ran over immediately. What happened to the patient? She checked on the person in Hiyu's arms and asked someone to bring a stretcher. The team quickly ran past Shisheng. She looked at the ceiling speechlessly and cursed the plot master's family 100 times in despair. When Shisheng sent Yi-Chen over, she checked the plot. In the plot, the female lead would also be sent to the county, but not to this hospital. She had purposely changed hospitals to avoid Hiyu and Su Mei, but they still came. Were they trying to stir up trouble? When Shisheng returned to the ward, Yi-Chen was alone in the room, staring out of the window. No one knew what he was thinking. When Yi-Chen saw her, he immediately asked, "Where's the stuff?" Shisheng closed the door. "I sold it." Yi-Chen was stunned. "Where's the money?" Shisheng looked at him in amusement. "Why? Do you want to split it? Was this idiot really a soldier? I spent so much effort. Wouldn't it be a waste if I didn't split the money? How much did you sell it for? It's a national treasure. Do you know how much it's worth? Did you make a loss by selling it?" Shisheng was speechless. Shisheng opened the drawer at the head of the bed, took out the army green bag, and threw it at him. "Is this stupid thing worth risking your life for?" Yi-Chen opened the bag and took out the wrapped item. He was relieved when he saw that it was intact. "Little girl, do you know how many lives this stupid thing has taken?" "I don't know, and I don't want to know." Yi-Chen wrapped the item and put it under the pillow like it was a treasure. He looked at Shisheng and said, "Little girl, it's not good to lie. Did I cheat you of your money or your body?" Yi-Chen was speechless. There was no way to continue the conversation. After Su Mei was rescued, she was assigned to the room next to Yi-Chen's. When Shisheng went out, he bumped into Hiyu, who was standing outside. Hiyu frowned. "Miss Gu, why are you here?" Shisheng sneered. "Company Commander He, this is a hospital. What do you think I'm doing here?" King retard. "Is this hospital owned by your family?" Hiyu had a prejudice against Shisheng, so when he saw her, he naturally felt that she was up to something, so he asked that question subconsciously. "Su Mei's family." The nurse's voice came from the ward. Hiyu immediately pushed the door open and went in. When Shisheng came back from dinner, he found that there were a few more people in the ward. They were familiar faces. They were the soldiers she had met on the train. They were also a little confused when they saw Shisheng. This little girl had left a deep impression on them on the train. Yi-Chen gave a simple introduction to both parties. Shisheng's eyes lit up. "It's you. The person Major General Yi was talking about is actually you. You're amazing." "Major General? Damn. This retard actually had such a high rank. Using the back door was too scary. Why didn't I have such an amazing father?" Shisheng's mouth twitched. "I'm not as good as Major General Yi." Shisheng proudly straightened his back. "Major General is indeed very good." "Shisheng," the square-faced man scolded. This silly child, couldn't he tell that the girl was mocking him? Although he didn't know where this little girl got the courage to mock the Major General. The strangest thing was that the Major General didn't seem to be unhappy. Instead, he looked quite interested. Strange, it was really strange. "What's wrong?" Shisheng looked innocent. Wasn't the Major General powerful? The square-faced man glared at him and said to Yi-Chen, Major General, we'll bring this back to the military base first. You should rest well. Yi Chen nodded slightly. The square-faced man immediately pulled Xiaosheng, who still wanted to talk to Shisheng, out. The room quickly quieted down. Didn't you say you were going to sell it for money? Why are you still going back? Shisheng raised his eyebrows and looked at the person on the hospital bed. The latter still looked frivolous and lazy. He reached out and brushed the loose hair on his forehead. I thought about it and still think that it's better to change my military rank. Recovering the national treasure was definitely a great achievement. Shisheng snorted and slapped the bill in front of him. Come Major General Yi, pay up. Yi Chen took the bill and looked at it. His expression changed strangely. Little girl, this bill isn't right? Why did it cost so much? There's nothing wrong with it. I gave you the best. Plus, I got you to the hospital and saved you. It's right. I'll round up the small change for you. You're welcome. Major General Yi was speechless. He was very poor. Not to mention the strange fees she added. He couldn't even afford the medical fees. Well, he was that poor. Little girl. Yi Chen put down the bill and reached out to grab Shisheng's hand. He held it with both hands, and was very sincere. Didn't you say that you'll be responsible for me? Shisheng was speechless. There seemed to be something wrong with his attributes this time. He was a King hooligan again and had no moral integrity? WTF. Did he take the wrong script? What happened to the noble and cold villains? Shisheng took a deep breath. Who didn't know how to be a hooligan? She smiled and replied, be responsible. Young Master Yi, are you going to repay me with your body? Yi Chen pondered for a moment and asked seriously, can I repay my debt with my body? That depends on Major General Yi. Shisheng leaned over and whispered in his ear. Can you serve me well? Her breath enveloped him. Yi Chen's heart suddenly beat faster, as if it was going to jump out of his chest. Her pink lips were right beside him. He only needed to tilt his head slightly to taste them. He leaned forward, but before he could touch them, the person beside him suddenly stepped back. The girl opposite him smiled faintly. Her soft voice rang in the ward. Major General Yi, don't think of strange things when you're recuperating. Yi Chen was speechless. She did it on purpose. She definitely did it on purpose. Yi Chen scratched the bed for a long time. When he recovered, he had to press down on the girl and kiss her. Yi Chen's heat stroke was not serious, but his leg injury was quite serious. He could only be discharged after a few days of recuperation. When he was discharged, Xiaosheng drove over to pick him up. He looked at Yi Chen with a gossipy face. Major General, did you and Miss Gu do that? Do what? Yi Chen stared at the hospital door. Why wasn't she out yet? Did it take so long to settle the discharge procedures? Just a date. Xiaosheng was still a cucumber. When he said this, he was a little embarrassed. A date? Probably not. I sold myself. Xiaosheng looked at Yi Chen in confusion. I owe her a lot of money. She asked me to repay her with my body. There was a lot of information in this sentence. Xiaosheng's little brain took a while to understand. Major General, your family doesn't lack money. My family doesn't lack money, but I do. Xiaosheng choked. Yes, the Major General was kicked here. He heard that the Yi family only gave the Major General living expenses and nothing else. Then, Major General, do you like Miss Gu? Xiaosheng asked again. If the Major General didn't like her, why would he repay her with his body? Yi Chen was silent for a moment. A frivolous look appeared on his face. Maybe. Chapter 12:24. Shisheng met Huang Milan inside. She was supposed to be in Luoyang City, but for some reason, she was in this hospital with the female lead. This was the so-called irresistible plot. They were destined to meet. This had nothing to do with Shisheng, but Huang Milan saw her and insisted on talking to her. Big sister, can't you see that the female lead is about to eat someone? If you don't let go of me, I'm going to scream. You left so quickly that I didn't have time to treat you to a meal. This time, I must thank you properly. No, big sister, I don't want to eat with you. I'd rather go back and face Yi Chen. It's settled then. Miss Su, you don't mind one more person, right? Huang Milan asked Su Mei after finalizing the deal. Su Mei wanted to work with Huang Milan, so she couldn't say no. She just smiled gently. Sister Huang, please arrange it. She glanced at Shi Sheng, and a dark light flashed in her eyes. When she was in the cave, she vaguely heard someone talking. She thought it was an illusion, but when she saw her with that man, she was sure it wasn't an illusion. At that time, she came and saved the man, but left herself at the bottom. If you didn't find her in time, she might have gone to hell. I mind. There's someone waiting for me outside. Goodbye. Shi Sheng smiled. If you don't let go of I will take out my sword. Huang Milan acted as if she didn't see it and said enthusiastically, then let's eat together. It'll be more lively if we eat together. Shi Sheng was speechless. Where's I's sword? Little girl, what are you waiting for? Yi Chen strode into the hospital and grabbed Shi Sheng's hand. Do you want to starve me to death? Hey young man. When Huang Milan saw that her savior was being dragged away, she quickly caught up and asked anxiously, are you with Miss Gu? I was just about to invite Miss Gu. Why don't you join us? She stopped in front of Yi Chen and saw who it was. Huang Milan was stunned. Young Master Yi. Oh my god, why is he here? Huang Milan's Dongfang department store was a famous enterprise. She was considered a reputable figure in Beijing, and had seen Yi Chen before. How could he not be surprised to see the famous playboy in the capital here? So it's elder sister Huang. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows slightly and said casually, the little girl won't be eating with you. We have to go back. Ah. So that's how it is. I was too abrupt. Where does young Master Yi live? I'll pay you a visit another day. No need. Yi Chen dragged the Shi Sheng away. Huang Milan did not dare to offend this silk pants, so she could only stand where she was. Elder sister Huang, who is that? Su Mei stepped forward and asked casually. I heard that the young master of the Yi family is now in the army. Huang Milan tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and sighed. He's the leader of his generation. If he says no, no one in his circle would dare to say yes. Su Mei was enlightened. No wonder he had such a strong aura. Yi Chen sent the Shi Sheng back to the military compound. Shi Sheng saw Father Gu's car from afar. When he parked the car, Father Gu happened to come out with someone. Hearing the sound of the car, Father Gu looked over. He frowned. Wasn't this the car that was sent to that rascal Yi Chen? Before Father Gu could finish his thoughts, he saw the troublemaker get out of the car. That was not the point. The point was that his precious daughter got out of the car with him. Father Gu. Yi Chen walked to Father Gu and saluted casually. Uncle Gu, I've brought the little girl back. Father Gu. Xiaoyi. Father Gu took a deep breath and shouted. Where did you take my Xiaolan? What did you do? He was so unlucky that the people from the Yi family wanted to push her to him. Uncle Gu, I didn't do anything to her. Yi Chen immediately defended himself. She did something to me. Father Gu glared at him. What could his daughter do to him? Uncle, you can ask the little girl yourself. Yi Chen smiled and rubbed Shi Sheng's head. I'll look for you after I finish writing my self-reflection. Shi Sheng slapped his hand away expressionlessly. Do you think you can rub I's head? Yi Chen was in a good mood. He pursed his lips and went back to the car. The car quickly reversed and went to the military area. Father Gu had mixed feelings. Why was this rascal from the Yi family acting so strange? Father Gu handed the things to the person next to him and pulled Shi Sheng into the courtyard. Xiaolan, is he the one who saved you? Shi Sheng's mouth twitched. Father, what kind of crazy things are you thinking? With his female character, it's good enough that he didn't wait for I to save I. How could he save me? This rascal is messing around. You can't be with him. Father Gu said righteously. He's better looking than you, but looks can't make a living. You can't just climb out of a hole and fall into another one. Father, you actually transmigrated here too, right? The grudge between me and Major General Yi, if you want to talk about it. Shi Sheng quickly stopped Father Gu, who was still talking nonstop. He owes me a lot of money. A lot of money. The Yi family was a big family. How could they owe money? Father Gu felt that Shi Sheng was fooling him. She suddenly didn't want Hiyu and came back with Yichen today. Wasn't it obvious? Xiaolan, did he do anything to you? Mother Gu said that she didn't come back. Although she called back and made up an excuse, Father Gu still felt suspicious. Sheng was speechless. Father, can you stop imagining things? She really wanted to take out the bill, but Father Gu would definitely ask her where she got the money, so, keep imagining things. Anyway, she would end up with Yichen in the end. I'm asking you a question. Did Yichen, that rascal, do anything to you? Tell me, I'll help you. Father Gu was agitated. He thought that Sheng had done something to him. No, Sheng replied weakly. Father, he didn't do anything to me. Really? Really? He had the guts, but he didn't have the ability. Father Gu's face was serious. That rascal from the Yi family is famous in the capital. Let me tell you, you can't like him. Sheng was speechless. But I do like him. Ah no, elegant. I can't drive. Father Gu talked for a long time and warned Sheng not to like Yichen. In the end, he softened his tone. That rascal from the Yi family saved you. I'll thank him on your behalf. Don't see him anymore. No, father. All right, I still have work to do. Stay at home and don't go out anymore. Report to the military in a few days. Father Gu waved his hand and strode out of the courtyard. He's not my savior. Asterisk flips table star. Chapter 1225. The incident started when Hiyu asked a new recruit to complete a 5-kilometer run. Halfway through, a female recruit fainted. Hiyu sent her to the infirmary. When he returned, he saw Sheng resting at the side. No one noticed whether Sheng had completed the 5-kilometer run or not. Then a catfight broke out. You didn't even take half the time of others, an instructor beside Hiyu said. If this isn't slacking, then what is? Do you think you're a sprinter? Have you heard of a girl who moves like the wind? I am that fast. It's your own business if you can't do it. How can you blame others for being too good? Everyone was speechless. Sheng insisted that she had finished the run. Of course, Hiyu did not believe him. How could she have finished in such a short time? The best way was to let Sheng run again to prove his innocence. However, Sheng would not run another 5-kilometer for nothing. He refused to agree. I'll run with you. As long as you can beat me, I'll believe that you've finished. Hiyu stood up and said in a deep voice. Who wants to run with you, loser? Sheng rolled his eyes. Hiyu's face darkened. No one knew that he was beaten up by her. He only felt embarrassed. However, he was still beaten up in front of so many people. It was so embarrassing. Everyone was also embarrassed. Yichen turned and asked the square-faced man. I remember that I can pick anyone from the military, right? Theoretically, yes. However, Major General, she's the daughter of Deputy Commander Gu. Moreover, she's a girl. Is there a rule that says that you can't pick a girl? This there isn't. Yichen walked over. Staff Officer Zhao. Staff Officer Zhao was surprised. He quickly turned around. Major General Yi, what's the matter? Yichen gave Sheng a meaningful look. Staff Officer Zhao, I want her. This. Staff Officer Zhao was confused. He turned to look at Sheng, and then at Yichen. Major General Yi, what do you mean? It couldn't be what he thought, right? If old Gu knew, he would beat this brat to death. The next moment, Yichen confirmed Staff Officer Zhao's guess. I want her to join the special training camp. Staff Officer Zhao broke out in a cold sweat. He ignored the curious gazes around him and dragged him to the side. Xiao Yi, do you know whose daughter that is? What kind of place was the special training camp? If you dare to bring her inside, the deputy commander dotes on his daughter. If you really do that, the deputy commander will definitely complain to your father. Yichen smirked. She's very talented. I think it's the best. Staff Officer Zhao. She was talented, but she also had a backer. Although she wasn't as awesome as you, she wasn't someone who could be easily manipulated. I can't make the decision on this matter. You have to ask the deputy commander. Staff Officer Zhao quickly removed himself from this matter. The few of them who were close to each other in private knew that Father Gu doted on his daughter. Before Gulan made a fuss about coming to the military region, Father Gu also talked to them about his worries. Now this person was also thinking about it. I'll take that person away first. I'll talk to the deputy commander when he comes back, Yichen said. Staff Officer Zhao wanted to refute, but after thinking about it, he was only taking her away and not immediately joining the special training camp. It was not too late to ask for her back when Father Gu came back, so Staff Officer Zhao tacitly agreed with Yichen's action. The most important thing was to give He Yu a way out. Regardless of whether he was slacking or not, He Yu had already lost his face. If he let Shisheng beat him, it would be a bit awkward. He wondered how Father Gu trained that little girl at home to be so good at it. Little girl, let's go. Yichen waved at Shisheng. Shisheng's eyes turned and walked towards Yichen. He Yu suddenly stood up with a solemn expression. May I know where this Major General is taking my soldier? Company Commander He. Staff Officer Zhao called out. Major General Yi will report this to the Deputy Commander. You don't have to worry about it. Continue with the training. Yi frowned. The people beside him hurriedly pulled him twice, hinting him not to be impulsive. They heard that Major General Yi had an extraordinary background. It seemed that he came to the military region for a special mission. Even Staff Officer Zhao and the Deputy Commander had to be courteous to him. It was not wise to go against him. He clenched his fists. Staff Officer Zhao originally wanted to wait for Father Gu to come back before asking for Shisheng, who knew that Yichen would hand over the information after asking for Shisheng. By the time Father Gu came back and found out about this, Shisheng's file had already been saved. Saving the file meant that Shisheng had joined the special training camp. Unless he failed the assessment, he was not allowed to leave the camp. In the past, those people had never done things so quickly. Staff Officer Zhao was in despair when he found out that Shisheng was done in such a short time. If he had known that this kid would do this, he would not have let Yichen take Shisheng away. Father Gu was even more furious. What kind of place was the special training camp? It was a place that could kill people. Even if they passed the assessment, they would have to carry out missions in a rain of bullets in the future. Father Gu did not even bother to invite Shisheng. He went directly to the training ground that was cleared out for Yichen. However, there was no one there. After asking around, he found out that Shisheng had brought his daughter back to his home. Father Gu was so angry that he went home. As soon as he entered the courtyard, he heard his wife praising him with a smile. Xiao Yi, just leave it there. I'll take care of it later. Go sit and chat with Xiaolan. Father Gu saw the man standing with Mother Gu and his face darkened. Yichen. Yichen turned around and greeted him politely. Uncle, you're back. Hey old Gu, you're back. It's rare for Xiaolan to bring a friend home. Accompany Xiao Yi for a drink later. Mother Gu also turned around with a smile. Father Gu immediately restrained his anger. Okay, you can cook 2 more dishes. Okay, you guys chat. I'll go to the kitchen. Mother Gu went into the kitchen with the food in her hands. As soon as Mother Gu left, Father Gu went forward and snatched the food from Yichen's hands. He dragged him out of the courtyard. Get lost, get lost. Yichen, I'm telling you, don't think about my daughter. He knew that the old man from the Yi family did not have good intentions by putting Shisheng here. Yichen pulled on the courtyard door. Uncle, you don't have the final say in this matter. Only the little girl has the final say. Father Gu glared at him. I'm her. If I say no, it means no. Father Gu pried Yichen's hand away and drove him out. The courtyard door was slammed shut. Uncle, he's a guest. How can you drive him away? Yichen's head popped out of the courtyard wall. Father Gu picked up the broom by the wall and hit him. Get lost. Dad, what are you doing? Shisheng heard the commotion and came out. He saw Father Gu hitting Yichen with the broom. Although he knew that Father Gu did not like Yichen, it was not to this extent, right? Did you turn a deaf ear to Ai's words? Father Gu saw Shisheng and became angrier. Who told you to bring him back? Shisheng was innocent. He insisted on coming back with me. My mother happened to see it. Didn't you say not to provoke our mother? Yichen quickly captured her future mother-in-law's heart and entered the house. What could she do? Chapter 1226. In the end, the farce ended with Mrs. Gu's appearance. Yi Chen entered the courtyard as he wished. Mrs. Gu pulled Mr. Gu into the kitchen and glared at him. Oldest child, why are you so narrow-minded? What do you mean? How am I narrow-minded? Mr. Gu swallowed his anger. I don't want to talk about this with you. I have to go out and watch them. Mrs. Gu could not stop him and shook her head helplessly. Shisheng basically watched Mr. Gu and Yi Chen bicker with each other during the meal. Well, they were mainly bickering with Mr. Gu. Yi Chen would occasionally respond, but Mr. Gu would definitely choke whenever he opened his mouth. Mom, does my dad have a grudge against the Yi family? Shisheng moved closer to Mrs. Gu. It's a long story, but don't worry. He's just talking about it. He won't really do anything to Yi Chen. Mrs. Gu smiled. I'll tell you about it next time. Shisheng. Yet another feud in the pugilistic world? It was all a routine. After the meal, Shisheng sent Yi Chen out. It was mainly because Mr. Gu was drunk by Yi Chen. Otherwise, he would definitely have stopped them. The two walked out of the courtyard. It was quiet outside. Yi Chen held Shisheng's hand and walked slowly along the path. He had drunk some wine. The faint smell of wine from his body drifted to Shisheng's nose. It was intoxicating. When they were about to enter the military camp, he suddenly leaned Shisheng against the wall and lowered his head slightly. The tip of his nose touched hers. Little girl, who am I to you? What do you think? Yi Chen laughed softly. He tilted his head and sucked on Shisheng's lips. They finished what they did not have time to do that day. After the kiss, Yi Chen let go of her and rubbed her lips with his fingertips. Little girl, your kissing skills are not bad, huh? Yi Chen's voice was a little dangerous. I was born with it. Shisheng was slightly proud. Yi Chen stared at her for a minute, then sighed. Go back. From the day after tomorrow onwards, once you enter the special training camp, you can't come out casually. Prepare the things you need to prepare tomorrow. She was the only one in the special training camp. When the time came, he would have plenty of time to spend with her. Yi Chen thought about it and was in a good mood. He rewarded Shisheng with a kiss. Yi Chen's breathing was a little unstable. If they were not outside the military zone, he would probably have taken her away. In the end, he suppressed his anger and sent the Shisheng back. After entering the special training camp, they could not come out, so Shisheng had a lot of things to do. She first contacted a few companies that she had seen before. After negotiating with them, she asked the people she hired over there to go over and transfer the money. By the time he was done, the day was almost over. Shisheng thought for a while and decided to beat Hiyu up. She wouldn't feel good if she didn't vent her anger. When Hiyu returned home from work, he was strangely beaten up by someone. He didn't see who it was, but he had a hunch that it was the Shisheng who did it. When Hiyu returned home, Sume was shocked. What happened to you? Why are you injured? Hiyu covered his face. It's nothing. I was accidentally hit when I was training with someone. Hiyu didn't dare to say that he was beaten up by someone. It was more than embarrassing. Sume was a little suspicious. The injury didn't look like it was caused by training. Sume suddenly thought of someone. Was it Gulan? Hiyu shook his head. No, don't talk nonsense. Who else would dare to hit you except her? Sume was unhappy. She had pestered Hiyu before, but now she even hit him. She had never seen someone use such a method to like someone. She's the daughter of the deputy commander. She can't just hit people. Is there still any law? I'm going to talk to the deputy commander, Sume said and was about to walk out. She didn't believe it. Even if this world wasn't as good as the future, it shouldn't allow people to hit people like this. Hiyu quickly pulled Sume and said sternly, I said it's nothing. Why are you interfering? I'm interfering? Sume pointed at herself. Who was she doing this for? He actually said that she was interfering? This matter isn't as simple as you think. Do you think you can get anything out of it if you talk to the deputy commander? You don't know anything. Don't make trouble for me. Hiyu had been bullied recently and was a little unhappy. Sume was furious. Fine, I'm a busybody. See if I still care about you. Sume entered her room and slammed the door shut. Hiyu realized that he was a little harsh, but his dignity as a man didn't allow him to coax Sume. In the end, he could only go back to his room with a sullen face. Yi Chen came to pick up the Shisheng early in the morning. Father Gu was so angry that smoke came out of his head. He grabbed Yi Chen and scolded him for a long time. If anything happens to Xiaolan, I'll peel off a layer of your skin. The special training camp wasn't a joke. Father Gu couldn't get her out. He could only think of a way to get her out after the assessment. Uncle, don't worry. I won't let her suffer. Yi Chen nodded. Uncle, it's almost time. If you continue talking to me, I'll be late for the meeting. Father Gu looked at the time and turned to look at the Shisheng. Slack off when you're in there. Dad will get you out after the assessment. Shisheng was speechless. He really was his biological father. After sending Father Gu off, Yi Chen and Shisheng drove to the military zone. When they passed by Sumei's courtyard, they bumped into Hiyu, who was coming out. Shisheng smiled and poked his head out. Hey, Commander He, what did you do last night? Hiyu's face darkened and his voice was fierce. Miss Gu, you know very well. Why do you ask? Commander He is quite smart. I hope that Commander He will improve next time and not be so weak. Shisheng didn't deny it. Hiyu's face darkened. He knew it was her. Miss Gu is now part of the military zone. Do you know what crime it is to beat up a company commander? You can't possibly implicate his entire family, right? Shisheng didn't care. Commander, he can report it. Most importantly, do you have any evidence? As long as she insisted that she didn't do it, Hiyu wouldn't be able to produce any evidence. What could he do to her? Hiyu glared at Shisheng angrily. She was really fearless. Hiyu glanced at the man in the driver's seat. His hands were casually placed on the steering wheel, and he exuded a sense of laziness. He didn't have the integrity of a soldier at all. He seemed to have noticed Hiyu's gaze. His eyelashes fluttered and his gaze fell on Shisheng. Little girl, are you done? Commander He, see you later. Shisheng retracted his head. Let's go, let's go. Yi Chen started the car and stepped on the accelerator. Hiyu could only see the exhaust fumes. After driving for some distance, Yi Chen asked, do you have a grudge against him? Why would I hold on to him if I don't? Shisheng rolled his eyes. Yi Chen nodded as if he understood. Shisheng glanced at him. Shouldn't you say that you'll take revenge for him and make things difficult for him? Huh? Little girl, you want my help? Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. Chapter 12:27. No need. Seeing that he was up to no good, Shisheng rejected him decisively. What a hooligan. He was so annoying and not cute at all. He would find a chance to sleep with him. Maybe he could sleep with his cute wife. Little girl, if you beg me, I'll help you. How about it? Yi Chen coaxed her in a low voice. Even if you want him to die, I can do it for you. This is a good deal. No need. This is your only chance. Little girl, you really don't need it? I have 100 ways to kill the male lead. Who needs your help? The special training camp was located at the innermost part of the military area. The car took a long time to arrive. There were not many people here. Shisheng only saw Xiaosheng and the square-faced man. There was also a guard outside. Was this the special training camp? It was more like a deserted camp. Miss Gu, the special training camp is not a joke. Since you're here, you have to follow the rules. The square-faced man spoke to Shisheng with a straight face. Yi Chen pulled her over. Don't listen to him. I'm the boss here. I have the final say. Major General. The square-faced man scolded in a deep voice. This is the military camp. It's not a place for you to mess around. Yi Chen glanced at the square-faced man. The old man asked you to assist me, not to lecture me. Major General, if you continue like this, you won't be able to complete the mission in 10 years, let alone 2 years. That's my business. Hey, Major General, Uncle Hua, stop arguing. It's Miss Gu's first time here. It's not good for you to be like this. Xiaosheng said weakly. The square-faced man glanced at Shisheng, sighed, shook his head and left. Yi Chen sent Xiaosheng away and brought Shisheng to the second floor. You stay here. My room is next door. Of course, if the little girl wants to stay with me, that's fine. Okay. Yi Chen's hand that was pushing the door open paused. He turned to look at Shishang. Little girl? Are you kidding? Who's kidding? I want to stay with you. Did she look like she was joking? He had just casually said that, but this little girl really caught him off guard. Ahem. We're not married yet. Living together is bad for your reputation. I don't care. Yichen was speechless. After a long while, Yichen said, Do you really want to live with me? Do you think I'm teasing you? Do I look like such a boring person? There was nothing wrong with wanting to sleep with his wife. Yichen pondered for a moment and shook his head. No. Shishang. I knew that this guy would back down at critical moments. Don't be a coward if you have the ability. Wasn't she flirting with him quite enthusiastically before? Yichen rejected Shishang's unreasonable request to stay with her, and brought her to familiarize herself with the environment. The special training camp was quite big, but it was a little empty and desolate. In the end, Yichen brought Shishang to the cafeteria. As soon as they entered the kitchen, someone came to look for Yichen. He told Shishang to wait for him in the cafeteria and followed the person. Xiaosheng was busy in the kitchen. When he saw Shishang coming over, he immediately greeted him with two small canine teeth. Miss Gu, I'll treat you to dinner tonight. However, the ingredients are limited, so I hope you don't mind. Just call me Gulan. Oh yes, I can't call you Miss Gu. Xiaosheng nodded in agreement. Do you mind if I call you Xiaolan? It's a little awkward to call you by your name. Whatever. Names were meant to be called. Well, it was mainly because it was not her name. She did not care how others called her. Shishang went over to look at Xiaosheng peeling potatoes. Do you all cook by yourself? Yes. Xiaosheng glanced at the door. Uncle Hua and I are here to supervise the Major General in name, but in fact, we're here to take care of his daily life. Shishang. It was so comfortable being the crown prince. Huogua came in from outside and saw Shishang squatting beside Xiaosheng, peeling potatoes like a professional. His expression changed. This little girl was quite capable, but the Major General was a little concerned about her. If she did not come in, it would not be a big deal. The old man would be worried about the Major General's marriage. This little girl was also the daughter of Deputy Commander Gu. He heard that Deputy Commander Gu used to be in the capital's social circle. Later on, he came to such a remote military region. The two families were well matched in social status. If they were really together, he would feel that it would be quite good. But she just had to enter the military camp. If the Major General protected her and was caught, there would be a problem. Uncle Hua, where did the Major General go? Huogua retracted his gaze and started the fire. The commander is back and wants to see the Major General. Commander. This commander should be the commander of the military region. Sigh, that guy and the Major General don't get along well. Will he make things difficult for the Major General? Xiaosheng was worried. It's only a matter of time. Huogua still had a straight face. Let's cook first. Shishang passed the potatoes to Xiaosheng. What feud does Yichen have with the commander? Xiaosheng glanced at Huogua, but Huogua did not look at him. Xiaosheng then said, The Major General doesn't have a feud with the commander. It's the faction above the commander. Shishang nodded and did not ask anything else. Shishang thought that Xiaosheng would be the one to cook. Who knew that Huogua would be the one to cook in the end? Xiaosheng winked at Shishang. You didn't expect it, right? Uncle Hua's cooking is delicious. Really? I didn't expect it. Such a big man actually knew how to cook. The dishes were ready quickly, but Yichen was still not back. Naturally, they could not start the meal when Yichen was not back. Shishang sat outside the special training camp and waited for him. Huogua came out unknowingly and stood beside Shishang. He called out in a deep voice, Miss Gu. Uncle Hua. Shishang copied Xiaosheng's greeting. Huogua nodded and sat beside her. The Major General likes you very much. I can see that. But now is a critical period. I hope Miss Gu will not cause unnecessary trouble for the Major General. Is it related to the 2 years you mentioned? Huogua looked at a tree in the distance and pondered for a moment. There are still 3 years before that person will retire. This little girl was smart and her temperament was not comparable to ordinary people. These things were not considered secrets. Anyone who paid attention to politics would know about it. It was not a big problem for him to reveal it. Yi Chen needs results, right? If the person above him retired, there would naturally be a new leader to replace him. A new leader would mean a reshuffle. If it was someone from his faction, it would be easy for him to get promoted and become rich. But now it seemed that the next leader with the most hope was not supported by the Yi family. Therefore Yi Chen, this good-for-nothing disciple, needed to produce some results. Even if the other party was promoted in the end, he could ensure that the Yi family would not fall. A hint of admiration flashed across Huoguo's eyes. Miss Gu, since you understand, I won't say anything else. I just hope you can be aware that there are many people watching the Major General now. Shisheng tilted his head and looked at him. His voice traveled with the wind and reached the ears of the people coming from afar. Whoever dares to cause trouble for him will be crippled. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Little fairy, do you want to get promoted and become rich? Do you want to be a CEO, reach the pinnacle of life, and marry a tall, rich and handsome man? Cherub, what are you up to again? Little fairy, I'm just asking if you want to. Cherub, yes. Little fairy, then vote. Cherub, who votes will have more luck. Cherub, system, fancy voting verification completed. Chapter 12:28. When Yi Chen came back, he was in a bad mood. However, when he heard what Shisheng said, the bad mood in his heart disappeared instantly. After dinner, everyone went back to their rooms to rest. When Shisheng came out of the shower, he saw someone lying on the bed. How did you get in? Shisheng went forward and kicked him. Yi Chen grabbed Shisheng's leg and supported his head with a smile. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to climb through the window? Shisheng pulled his leg out and sat down on the stool beside him. Yi Chen's gaze swept across her fair legs. His eyes darkened and the stuffy air seemed to heat up. He licked his dry lips and forced himself to look away. Little girl, I heard what you said today. What did you say? You said that you'll cripple whoever dares to cause me trouble. Shisheng crossed his arms like a big boss. Yes, who do you want to cripple? Jiang Jianhua. Shisheng? Did he cause you trouble? Jiang Jianhua was about the same age as Mr. Gu, but he was not in the military most of the time. Mr. Gu was basically in charge of the military affairs. The original owner had never seen this person before, and had only heard about him from others. However, in the plot, this person seemed to be quite close to the female lead. In the end, the female lead even hooked up with a big boss because of him. He bullied me. Yi Chen sat up from the bed and complained to Shisheng shamelessly. Shisheng raised his eyebrows and looked at Yi Chen. Don't you think that it's embarrassing for a girl like me to talk about this kind of thing? Yi Chen thought for a while. It's not embarrassing. I'm yours now. No one can bully me. You have to avenge me. Yi Chen's words sounded very self-righteous. Yi Chen did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. He liked the feeling of her pampering him. Shisheng was speechless. How could he save his wife who was completely immersed in the female lead? Okay, I'll help you teach him a lesson, but... Shisheng stood up and walked towards Yi Chen. Yi Chen could not help but move back on the bed and stared at him with wide eyes. What are you going to give me in exchange? Calm down. How could he lose in such a matter? Yi Chen calmed himself down and hooked his arm around Shisheng's waist. He pulled her into his arms and whispered into her ear. Little girl, what do you think if I repay you with my body? Very good. Yi Chen was speechless. No, this was different from the storybooks he read. Didn't they say that girls would be very shy at this time? Why was the person on top of him not shy at all? She was even very satisfied. Don't pull his clothes. Yi Chen was pressed down by the Shisheng and could not exert any strength. Little girl, wait a minute. Shisheng forced Yi Chen to sleep with her. After that, Yi Chen curled up in bed with an unhappy expression. Little girl, you're committing a crime. Shisheng said faintly, You're an adult. Yi Chen was speechless. Shisheng suddenly turned sideways and stared at him with a smile. If you commit a crime, I'm willing to commit a crime for the rest of my life. Yi Chen was speechless. Do you want to do it again? Yi Chen immediately shook his head. The tips of his ears were slightly red. Didn't they say that a man who has been abstinent for many years can never be satisfied? Why can't you do it even once? Shi Sheng was suspicious. Who can't? Yi Chen turned over and their positions were reversed. He gritted his teeth and said, I'm afraid of hurting you. Do you think it's easy for me to endure it? I'm wrong. You can do it, but don't be so fierce. Yi Chen let go of her and jumped off the bed to take a cold shower in the bathroom. However, the person behind him hooked onto him again. I want to take a shower too. Yi Chen was speechless. If you go, there's no need for him to take a shower. Although that was what he thought, Yi Chen still carried Shi Sheng to the bathroom to take a shower. There was no hot water in the middle of the night. Yi Chen did not dare to let Shi Sheng take a cold shower, so he only helped her wipe her. Yi Chen was having a hard time enduring it. He still had to watch the little girl swaying in front of him. After taking a shower, Yi Chen was about to hug his wife and sleep for a while. However, his wife excitedly changed her clothes. Let's go and beat someone up. Yi Chen was speechless. He just said it casually. He did not want her to take revenge, but his wife seemed to take it seriously. It's almost dawn. Next time. It's good to exercise in the morning. Do you want to go? If not, I'll go by myself. How dare he bullies people? I'll beat him to death. Yi Chen guessed that he would not be able to stop Shi Sheng. Should he use his body to seduce her? F***ck. Yi Chen suddenly cursed. He was still thinking about the seduction, but the person who was in the room just now had disappeared. He immediately rushed to the window and looked down. Shi Sheng was already standing below, looking up at him. Yi Chen was filled with regret. If he had known, he would not have said it. Jiang Jianhua was quite annoying. He did not care much about beating him up, but it might affect his future father-in-law. His future father-in-law did not like him to begin with. If he still caused trouble, his future father-in-law would beat him to death. Yi Chen quickly jumped down from the window. Little girl, are you really going? Nonsense, lead the way. You can't beat him to death. It's a bit troublesome to deal with him. If you beat him to death, just throw his body away. Who knows? The two figures gradually disappeared into the darkness. The window on the second floor was pushed open. Xiaoxing rubbed his eyes and looked into the darkness in confusion. He seemed to have heard Major General and Xiaolan's voices just now. Was it an illusion? Xiaoxing did not see anyone, and patted his head. He must be in a daze. He closed the window and went back to sleep. In the end, when Xiaosheng and Huoguo went for a jog in the morning, they heard that Jiang Jianhua was beaten up. Jiang Jianhua flew into a rage, and was scolding people everywhere. Huoguo and Xiaoxing looked at each other, and quickly rushed back to the special training camp. Yi Chen had been tormented for a long time last night, and even went to beat someone up with Shi Sheng. At this time he was sleeping in his room. Xiaosheng and Huoguo banged on the door. He impatiently covered his ears, and did not want to open the door. In the end he could not take it anymore and got up to open the door. What are you doing? Are you trying to rebel early in the morning? Major General, did you beat up Commander Jiang? Huoguo looked serious. Who told him not to shut the door during the day? Yi Chen turned and walked in. Beating him up is already a light punishment. He had to take the blame for his wife. Huoguo had an expression of as expected. He was the only person in the military who could do such a thing. He had caused a lot of trouble in the past. If it were not for the Yi family and his merits, he would have been F***king punished. You just had a conflict with him yesterday. It's easy for him to find out that you did it. Major General, you have to control your temper. This is not the capital. You will get into trouble sooner or later. Huoguo began to preach. I beat him up. It has nothing to do with him. Yi Chen looked up. Shi Sheng came in and met Huoguo's gaze. He said word by word, I beat up Jiang Jianhua. If Huoguo had a heart disease, he would have had a heart attack by now. He had just told him not to cause trouble yesterday. Today he caused such a big trouble. What happened to being smart and sensible? Asterisk Huoguo's psychological trauma, ha 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 ha. Chapter 1229. Huogua took a few deep breaths before he managed to suppress his anger. Miss Gu, do you know what you're doing? The person she hit was not a company commander, but a military commander. He doesn't know. Why are you so nervous? He doesn't know, but he can guess. Moreover, he'll blame it on the major general. Huogua kept telling himself to stay calm. Shisheng looked at Huogua calmly. His lips curled into a strange smile. Even if you don't hit him, can you guarantee that he won't make things difficult for us? Huogua was speechless. That was definitely impossible. Since he's going to make things difficult for us, why should we endure it? Uncle Hua, don't you think so? She would take revenge when she could. But the Major General has just arrived. If we offend Jiang Jianhua, it will greatly affect our future plans. Isn't it just training a special forces team? What's there to be troubled about? As long as the person is healthy and not completely brainless, I can train him. Shisheng's arrogant and confident tone made the three men present feel a little strange. Did he think that training a special forces team was as simple as eating and drinking? In terms of selecting people, it was a particularly tedious matter. Huogua reacted and frowned. Miss Gu, how did you know about this? They had been very vague about it before. It was impossible for someone who did not hear anything to deduce it. Shisheng opened his mouth. I told her. Yichen immediately covered himself. No matter how this little girl found out, something would happen. Only if he told her, there would be no problem. Shisheng glanced at Yichen. Yichen winked at her and signaled her not to speak. Shisheng swallowed his words. Major General, how could you say such things? Yichen waved his hand. She's one of us. I believe her. Uncle Hua, calm down. I also believe that Xiaolon wouldn't say such things. Xiaoxing quickly comforted Huogua, who was about to explode. Okay, I won't talk about this with you. This little girl was already here, but the crown prince was still so protective of her. He obviously liked her a lot. No matter what he said, he would not listen. He took a deep breath and asked, how do you plan to deal with Jiang Jianhua? Different situations call for different measures. Yichen raised his eyebrows. There was not much worry in his tone, as if it was just a small matter. Major General, you're in someone else's territory now. It's easy for them to mess with you, Huogua said earnestly. Shisheng looked at her innocently. Well, we've already beaten him up. We can't possibly go and apologize, right? Huogua. Before Huogua could think of a reply, Shisheng said, why don't you just kill him? I don't care about you anymore. Do whatever you want. Huogua was really angry. He shouldn't have agreed to this mission in the first place. It would have been better if he had stayed in the army. She followed the crown prince here to be bullied. His stomach hurt even more than when he was in a hail of bullets. Xiaoxing did not chase after Huogua. Instead, he looked at Shisheng with great interest. Xiaolon, can you really train a special force? Of course. Shisheng's face was full of confidence. Little girl, don't mess around. I can indulge you in other things, but not this. If he messed it up, he would have to take responsibility. Xiaolon is so good. Major General, let Xiaolon have a try. Anyway, everyone in the special training camp is on the same side. No one will say anything. Xiaosheng had a blind admiration for Shisheng. Xiaosheng, I think you're itching for a beating? Yichen looked at Xiaosheng. He was smiling, but Xiaosheng felt a chill. He shrunk his neck and quickly slipped away. I'll go and see Uncle Hua. Xiaosheng slipped out of the room and closed the door. He's not from the army, right? Shisheng leaned against the table. Although it was a question, he said it with certainty. Yes, he's the son of my dad's subordinate. He's been with me since he was young. Yichen did not deny it. He pinched Shisheng's face. Little girl, don't be so smart. It's boring if you can guess everything. It's just a simple analysis. Yichen raised his eyebrows and seemed to be curious. Tell me. He doesn't have the aura of a soldier. When we were on the train, no one else spoke. He was the only one who dared to interrupt Uncle Hua. This proves that his status is not low. Now that he's making such remarks, it's hard for people to believe that he's a soldier. Secondly, he's too young. If this mission is important, he won't be here. So in summary, he's not from the army. This person was most likely brought here by Yi Chen. Yi Chen rarely ordered Huoguo to do anything. Most of the time he ordered Xiaosheng. He trusted Xiaosheng. Looks like he needs to be disciplined. Yi Chen snorted. Xiaosheng did not know that he was being targeted by his major general again. Let me ask you something. Yes. Which side is my dad on? Since it was a battle between factions, there were only 3 years left. It was about time to take sides. Uncle doesn't take sides. This fire won't burn him. Don't worry. Yi Chen's eyes flashed with a smile. Little girl, there are many things you don't know. Coax me more next time. I'll tell you when I'm happy. Shisheng was speechless. He needed to be taught a lesson. Father Gu's ending was not mentioned in the plot. It was probably not a big deal. I'm serious. I can train a troop for you. Shisheng hugged Yi Chen's neck. No. Why? No means no. Yi Chen carried her to the table and touched her mischievously. What if I insist? Shisheng broke free from him, pushed him to a safe distance and looked into his eyes. Yi Chen was helpless. Little girl, I've made a military order for this. Promise her. Promise her. I really want to promise her. This was the only voice in Yi Chen's heart. He wanted to agree to all her requests, regardless of whether they were reasonable or not. Forget it then. Shisheng jumped off the table. Yi Chen quickly pulled her back and softened his tone. How about this? You can come to the special training camp, but you can't let outsiders know. Little girl, this is the biggest concession I can make. If Huoguo was here, he would vomit blood. This was called a concession? This was simply child's play. If this went on, it would not be a special training camp. It would be a summer camp. Shisheng's lips curved into a smile. You won't regret your decision. Yi Chen did not know whether to laugh or cry. Even if he lost, he was willing. Missions and national justice were not as important as a strand of her hair in his eyes. Did you drug me? Yi Chen pressed Shisheng on the table and kissed him. Shisheng was a little breathless from the kiss. She gasped and said, Am I not your drug? You're my antidote. * lightning alert. The above content only exists in novels. It's impossible in reality. Just watch and don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. Chapter 1230. The incident of Jiang Jianhua being beaten up was a hot topic, but no one managed to find out anything about it. As expected, Jiang Jianhua targeted Yi Chen. However, before he could make things difficult for Yi Chen, he suddenly stopped and avoided Yi Chen whenever he saw him. Yi Chen was baffled. Was he afraid of being beaten up by him? There were only a few people in the special training camp, so there was no training to speak of. Shisheng brought Xiaosheng along and squatted on the field all day, eating sunflower seeds and watching the recruits train. Xiaolan, why are we watching them all day? It was too boring. What was there to watch when they repeated the same events? Even if there were sunflower seeds, it would be boring. Shisheng replied mysteriously. To observe the origin of mankind. Are we going to change careers and become scientists? Xiaosheng was dumbfounded. Shisheng glanced at him and sighed. Go back and cook, child. Xiaosheng was speechless. Shisheng observed for about a month. When Huoguo was giving Yi Chen an ideological lesson at the dining table, she suddenly interrupted them. How many people do you need? Huoguo's words were stuck in his throat. He looked at Yi Chen in disbelief. Did he really let her do as she pleased? 20, but at least 100 people need to join. They need to be eliminated from the 100 people. Yi Chen ignored Huoguo and quickly answered. This kind of special training was an elimination system. Whoever had the ability would go. Shisheng nodded and continued eating as if she had just asked casually. Huoguo could not continue with the ideological lesson, and continued eating. The atmosphere at the dining table suddenly became a little strange. Shisheng was the first to finish eating. She went out for a while, and came back with a piece of paper in her hand. Just get these 20 people over. Yi Chen glanced at it. These are all recruits? Yes. Humph. Huoguo suddenly snorted. The endurance of the recruits can't keep up with the intensity of our training. From the beginning, they did not intend to recruit recruits. Even Yichen did not think about it. There was too much for the recruits to learn, and a lot of time would be wasted. Shisheng laughed sinisterly. The recruits are easy to brainwash. Everyone was speechless. He had a feeling that she was going to start a pyramid scheme. Yichen ignored Huoguo's objection and asked for the 20 people on the Shisheng's list. As soon as they were brought over, the Shisheng began to brainwash them. It was really brainwashing. There was no training, and there was no talk of national justice. She was just telling stories, and each story was weirder than the last. It almost made these people believe that Ultraman actually existed in the world, and that they could save the world. After 3 days of brainwashing, Shisheng refused to let them sit in on the class, and left them alone for an hour. When they came out, Huoguo saw a group of people in a state of excitement. It was as if he was ready to serve his country at any time and sacrifice his precious life for his country. Major General, I think our special training camp needs to be renamed. Yichen lay on the grass on the training ground and looked at the recruits who were starting their normal training in the distance. He did not comment. Shisheng walked over from a distance. She was wearing a military uniform, and her hair was all tied up in a hat. She had one hand in her pocket and a smile on her lips. She was valiant and heroic. Shisheng sat next to Yichen and handed him a form. This is the training program. Just follow this daily. Yichen opened it and looked at it. The smile in his eyes deepened. She was indeed the girl he liked. Shaoxing glanced at the form. There were clear rules on the form. The program had to be completed every month for 2 years. It even predicted what each person could achieve and what each person had to achieve. Shaoxing swallowed his saliva with difficulty. Besides these, there is still a lot of free time. What do you want to do with it? Yichen kept the form. Shisheng waved her arm. Let them fly. Yichen looked at her strangely. Shisheng raised her eyebrows and chuckled. Do you want to test your potential and your limits? The corner of Yichen's lips curled up a little. He jumped up from the grass and approached Shisheng. He lowered his voice so that only the two of them could hear. I only want to use my potential and limit on you. Yichen went to the training ground after flirting with her. Shisheng was speechless. Flirting so hard, huh? I'll deal with you tonight. Shisheng's training method was very strange. Only those who had experienced it personally would understand. She could make you play Sudoku for an entire day, and also make you run with weights for an entire day. Besides the daily training program, everyone's training program was different. However, none of these people said that they wanted to quit. Huoguo was furious at first. The quota of 100 people was reduced to the 20 people they needed. If one person did not meet the requirements, they would be short one person, and it would be difficult to find a replacement. However, as the intensity of the training increased, he realized that these people did not have any major problems except for the occasional mistakes. They were even better than he expected. The most important thing was that these people were Shisheng's die-hard fans. Her words were more effective than Yichen's. Huoguo suspected that the first 3 days of brainwashing were to brainwash these people into becoming her die-hard fans. She was not bullied because she was a young girl like he had imagined. Huoguo felt that he might have entered a fake special training camp. He was actually here for a summer camp. Yichen did not care about them at first, but later on he did not care at all. He would lie on the training ground all day long. He was just here to watch Shisheng. Those people also knew that Shisheng was Major General Ye's personal assistant. They were very smart, and did not provoke this Major General who had never shown any tricks. A year and a half passed quickly. Shisheng knew that he had completed a mission, and was promoted to a major and battalion commander. Sume was doing well too. He heard that she had opened a shop in the county. Shisheng calculated the time. After she finished training these people, she would be able to make it to the scene of the female lead fighting against her superior relative. Shisheng reorganized the training plan according to their situation. Everyone had their own strengths. Apart from these, there was also their hidden potential. While using their strengths, they had to stimulate their hidden potential. They had to learn as much as possible and strive for all-round development. Of course, not everyone could develop in an all-round way. After all, humans were not omnipotent. However, their shortcomings had to be covered up with their strengths. If this method did not work, there were other methods. They could not think that this was a dead end just because they did not know how to do it. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Little Fairy, Little Sunflower's mother's summer camp has started. Hugwa. What kind of training is this? Shisheng genius. Hugwa, genius is born. Shisheng. Why are you looking down on the younger generation? Do you believe that the younger generation can ascend to heaven? Hugwa. Hashtag the above comments are nonsense. Don't take it seriously. Hashtag. Chapter 1231. One day, when everyone was thinking about a bunch of weird ideas, Xiaoxing suddenly ran in. Pack your things. Gather outside the training camp in 5 minutes. Those who are late, stay at home and watch the door. After saying this, Xiaoxing ran away. The 20 people who were sitting on the ground immediately jumped up and rushed back to their dormitory as fast as they could. They took their military backpacks and left. There were 2 military trucks parked outside the training camp. Shisheng and Yichen sat in the front truck, while Xiaoxing and Hugwa sat in the back. They did not ask any questions. They split into 2 teams and got into 2 separate trucks. The trucks drove out of the military area and onto a rural road. Then they headed towards the remote mountains. The destination was not far. It was only an hour's journey. Shisheng got out of the truck and asked everyone to gather. She stood in front of the 20 people and said calmly, "Our theme today is to dance with wolves." Everyone looked at each other. Shisheng drew a line on the ground. Starting from this line, you will live without food and water for 5 days. Of course, this is not difficult for you. However, there are wolves in the mountains. You need to survive while being chased by the wolves. Don't ask why there are wolves here. I spent a lot of money to buy them. Don't take any chances. You have to be careful with every step you take in the mountains. Everyone was speechless. Only you would spend money to buy wolves. Luckily, tigers were not for sale. It's best if you don't travel in groups. This is not a test of your cooperation. It's a test of your ability to act alone and survive. 5 days later, we will gather at the foot of the mountain. The first 3 to arrive at the foot of the mountain will follow the old rules. I will teach you some special life-saving skills. Everyone's eyes lit up. There was a reward for every outdoor training before this. This was what they looked forward to the most. There are signal flares in the truck. If you can't hold on, fire the signal flares. If you fire the signal flares, the training is a failure. Now let's move. When Shisheng shouted for them to move, the group immediately took the signal flares from the truck and rushed towards the mountain. They listened to Shisheng and did not travel in groups. Xiaolon, are there really wolves in the mountain? Nonsense. Do you know how much I spent? Speaking of which, will this be reimbursed? Shisheng looked at Yichen. Pay with your body, Yichen said bluntly. Shisheng rolled his eyes. She seemed to have gotten another one of Feng Xi's attributes. It had appeared before, but she didn't pay much attention to it. Feng Xi loved spending her money, and he had no qualms about spending it. Major General Xiaolon, isn't it a little inappropriate for you to say this in front of a living person like me? He was still a cucumber, okay? Yichen ignored Xiaoxing and slept in the driver's seat. Xiaoxing had no choice but to pester Shisheng and ask if she would be in danger. Shisheng said calmly, if they can't even handle this, they don't need to participate in the training anymore. The forest was not a desert. Wolves did not climb trees. Climbing trees was a necessary skill for them. If he was alone, it wouldn't be hard to survive. Of course, the premise was that they had to listen to her advice and be single. 5 days was neither too long nor too short. When the first person came down from the mountain, Hugwa let out a sigh of relief. Soon people came back one after another. One of the brats was carrying a wolf, saying that he wanted to take it back as a souvenir. This brat was one of the more powerful members of the team. He was young and had joined the army because his family was poor. Who knew that he would be lucky enough to be chosen by Shisheng? All 20 of them came back safely. Some of them were injured, but fortunately, it wasn't serious. Shisheng drove the car to another place. There was a river here. Shisheng told them to rest there and treat the rest of the time as an outing. This was almost a necessary lesson for every outdoor training. Shisheng sat in front of the fire. The brat with the wolf came over. Sir, what are you roasting? Wolf meat. Yichen answered on behalf of Shisheng. The one you brought back. The brat was speechless. He immediately ran to check on his wolf. It was indeed gone. The brat ran back. Sir, Shisheng glanced at him. The brat immediately shrunk his neck, as if he was a little afraid of her. Shisheng turned the meat over and said calmly, I told you before that no matter if you like or hate someone, you are not allowed to show it before you are strong enough to look down on everyone. What did you take my words to? The brat bit his lip. I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what kind of mission you will carry out in the future, but one mistake can cost you your life. You may think that it's just a small matter and that you will never make a mistake when carrying out a mission, but how many people have died because of this? Yes. The brat saluted. I understand. The brat ran away. Yichen hugged Shisheng from behind and rested his head on her shoulder. Little girl, I suspect that you have been on the battlefield. I was born to be a general, Shisheng said proudly. I had been through so many worlds. Leading a soldier to war was nothing. Hey, this thing doesn't taste good. Do you want to eat it? Yi Chen's eyes flashed and he said flirtatiously, I only want to eat you. You are only good at talking. When did you become a coward when you carry a gun? Shisheng sneered. Yi Chen was speechless. If you talk like this, you will end our friendship. What can I do when I have such a strong wife? In the end, the wolf meat was given to Shisheng. Shisheng was speechless. So why did he have to sit so close to her? Who asked you to be a third wheel? At night, the group fell asleep after fooling around. Shisheng and Yichen slept in the driver's seat of the truck. Shisheng had just fallen asleep when Yichen shook her awake. Little girl, wake up. Shisheng frowned and looked at him. Yichen made a shushing gesture and pointed outside. Shisheng got up and heard voices in the distance. They seemed to be talking, but they were very vague and could not make out what they were saying. It was the middle of the night in the wilderness. Who was there? Shall we go down and take a look? Yichen asked Shisheng softly. What's there to look at? I'm not going. Shisheng lay back down. What if we run into ghosts? Yichen was speechless. After being together for so long, Yichen knew that she did not like to meddle in other people's business. He also did not like to meddle in other people's business. However, the people over there were very close to here. He was afraid that they would suddenly come over and disturb her. The voices from the other side kept coming intermittently. Shisheng was woken up by the noise. He tossed and turned but could not fall asleep. Yichen was irritated by Shisheng's movements. Shisheng felt the change in the pillow and could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Hey, can you control yourself? Little girl, you were the one who moved around. Why are you blaming me? He was not going to take the blame. Shisheng gritted his teeth. If they were not outside, he would not be able to get out of bed. Chapter 1232. Of course, he wasn't sent to the special training camp alone. There were 50 of them, and they were all good soldiers in the military. The top brass had already decided on the 100 spots, but Shisheng chose 20 of them from the new recruits. They didn't even have a chance to fight. Fortunately, they still had to fight in order to let Hiyu in. Shisheng didn't stop them. She would seem petty if she stopped them. I think you're just trying to torture the male lead. Shisheng, what are you talking about? I feel sorry for the male lead. Are the people up there crazy? Shisheng and Shisheng squatted together and ate melon seeds. They're sending people in at this time. We only have half a year left. Aren't they looking for trouble? Shisheng looked at the huge team and said calmly, maybe they're here to steal our skills. We still have half a year left. Why steal? Shisheng didn't understand. Shisheng rolled his eyes and said disdainfully, the training time is as long as the higher-ups decide. Shisheng scratched his head. That's right. Instructor, Shisheng, I just swept the floor and you're eating a bunch of melon seed shells. An exasperated voice suddenly sounded from behind them. Shisheng and Shisheng stood up at the same time, and stuffed the seeds into their pockets. Xiaoxing turned around and lied through his teeth. We didn't eat melon seeds. The brat pointed at the melon seed shells on the floor and said angrily, "Then where did the shells come from?" Xiaoxing looked down and pretended to be surprised. Maybe you missed them. I'm not sweeping anymore." The brat threw the broom on the floor. "I'm going to tell the Major General." Was it easy for him to sweep the floor? Xiaoxing. Shisheng. They pulled the brat back at the same time. Shisheng patted the brat's shoulder. "Look, there's a group of new recruits over there. Let them sweep the floor." The brat was dumbfounded. They're all platoon leaders at the lowest rank. You want them to sweep the floor? Instructor, are you out of your mind? Shisheng said with a straight face. Once you enter the special training camp, you will be a new recruit. Let's start with the basics. Although you said it so seriously, I still feel that you're talking nonsense. I don't have the basic skills to sweep the floor. Shisheng smiled. Now I do. The devilish brat was speechless. With the Major General here, what are you afraid of? Xiaoxing hooked his arm around the brat's shoulder. The devilish brat's face stiffened. I think I should go and tell the Major General. The instructor and Xiaoxing were afraid of the Major General. This was something they all knew. Xiaoxing was really afraid that Yichen would make him run with weights if he did not agree with him. Right now, he could easily run 20 laps in one go. As for Shisheng, it wasn't out of fear. It was more like he was spoiling her. Of course, in their eyes, whether it was doting or fearing, it was fine as long as the Major General was useful. Naturally, the naughty kid didn't succeed in his complaint. He was even pushed to the front of the new recruits, who were platoon leaders at the very least. At this time, the one who spoke was the oldest soldier in their special training camp. Although he was the oldest, he was still a new recruit, so he wasn't that old. Therefore, when this group of new recruits saw a soldier who was younger than them standing in front of them, they couldn't help but feel sour. Devilish brat. What are you doing here? Shisheng was the one who called him that first. She called him that many times, so the others followed suit. Now, almost no one called him by his full name. The naughty brat puffed up his chest. The instructor said that no matter what, he had to have an imposing manner. The instructor asked them to sweep the floor. That person was stunned and looked to the other side of the field. Shisheng and Xiaoxing changed squatting positions. It was obvious what they were doing without looking. Shisheng asked him to sweep the floor, so be it. While sweeping the floor, he could also do a thorough cleaning. Usually, everyone in the special training camp didn't have enough time. Other than their nest, they didn't know how to clean the rest of the places that they didn't use. A group of recruits looked at the brooms in their hands in a daze. Were they here to be cleaners? However, they weren't in their own territory right now, but in the special training camp. They could only accept their fate and start cleaning. Did you see that? They called that female instructor. Major General Yi and that Huoguo aren't the only instructors in the special training camp. When did they have a female instructor? That seems to be the daughter of Deputy Commander Gu. Didn't they say that she was taken away by Major General Yi and entered the special training camp? The special training camp was almost isolated from the outside world. The news from the outside world could be passed in, but the news from inside could not be passed out. Therefore, it was normal for this group of people not to know what was going on inside the special training camp. This special training camp feels like child's play. That Major General Yi. I heard that his background is big, and that Gulan probably came in through the deputy commander's back door. I don't know what kind of training he can get. But didn't they solve such a big case a few days ago? What? Didn't you hear them say that they went out to train and happened to meet? This is good luck. Xiaoxing passed these discussions back to the Shisheng. The Shisheng immediately slammed the table. Everyone who was eating looked up at the Shisheng. The Shisheng laughed sinisterly. I'll give you guys a break in the afternoon. Go outside and eat melon seeds for me. She could talk about her, but not Yi Chun. Everyone was speechless. In the afternoon, the Shisheng really gave them a break. They were allowed to eat melon seeds on the field. If they didn't clean up, they were not allowed to eat. The Shisheng took this opportunity to ask Jiang Jianhua for a lot of things. When Jiang Jianhua refused, the Shisheng threatened to throw them out. Jiang Jianhua finally sent them in. How could he let the Shisheng throw them out just like that? He immediately approved the things that the Shisheng asked for. You can't trap the wolf without sacrificing the child. After a long time, Jiang Jianhua understood that you can't trap the wolf without sacrificing the child. You sent them in, right? I'll torture you guys to death. The 20 young men in the special training camp ate melon seeds for the entire afternoon. Their mouths were numb from eating them. Could they apply for training? The other 50 people were also tortured to death. This was even more tiring than their training. They finally fell asleep. Not long after, they suddenly heard the call of duty. The next moment, there was the sound of neat running footsteps from outside. They went downstairs from the corridor. Someone went to the window to take a look. They were already lining up on the field. They were a little confused and couldn't react for a moment. However, they weren't recruits and weren't that stupid. They quickly understood and quickly put on their clothes and went downstairs. Yi Chen yawned and stood in front of the 20-man team. Today's mission is hide and seek. You can sleep after finding Xiaosheng twice. Dismissed. Asterisk, this is a fake group. The 20-man team. I didn't expect that we would skip the recruit period. The people who sweep the floor for us are all platoon leaders. Ha ha ha. The 50-man team. You brats, just you wait. The 20-man team. Just you wait. The instructor is great. The instructor can unify the military. The 50-man team. We might have entered a fake special training camp. Chapter 1233. When the 50-man team ran to the field, they heard Yi Chen's words. They had been here for a day, but this was the first time they saw the legendary Major General Yi. He was not wearing a military uniform, only a short-sleeved shirt, shorts and slippers. He looked like a hooligan outside. His hair was so long that it almost covered his eyes, but his hairstyle was better than those outside. In addition to his face, he looked good from all angles. Why is it Xiaosheng again? Do you know where he hid last time? He hid in the reservoir on the roof. I searched for him for a long time. And last time he was crawling in the mud. I passed by him but didn't see him. Major General, can you find someone who won't run? Someone raised his hand. Xiaosheng was too difficult to find. It took a lot of time. Yi Chen smirked. Sure, break his legs and he won't run anymore. Everyone was speechless. The crowd dispersed, leaving the confused recruits behind. What kind of game was this? Playing hide and seek in the middle of the night? There were cat biscuits. Major General Yi. A man stood up and called out to Yi Chen, who was about to leave. Yi Chen turned his head slightly and asked frivolously, "What's the matter?" "What are you doing?" "Daily training. You can try it if you're interested." Yi Chen answered the man's question calmly. Everyone was speechless. This was a free-range attitude. Yi Chen walked upstairs. Everyone looked at each other. Should they go back to sleep or try the daily training mentioned by Major General Yi? I'd like to see what they're up to. It's just finding someone. What's so difficult about that? When someone said this, some people agreed, but some people didn't take it seriously. This special training camp was like a joke. They were playing hide and seek in the middle of the night. They did not know why the higher-ups allowed them to come here. However, the participants soon realized that something was wrong. The special training camp was neither small nor big. There were not many places to hide people. However, they could not find anyone even after looking around. The rest of the people saw this and began to look for Xiaosheng. However, from midnight until the end of the day, only a dozen people found Xiaosheng. As for the 20-man team, they had finished searching within 2 hours and went back to sleep. Everyone left. Xiaosheng naturally left too. The others went back to rest with complicated feelings. At dawn the next day, there was a commotion on the sports field. A group of people were moving around on the field. They were very undisciplined, as if they were taking a stroll. Some of them even stood together and talked. Shisheng was eating breakfast beside her. When she was done, those people immediately gathered and reported their numbers. He stood on the second floor and watched them walk towards the small forest behind the field. He immediately turned around and followed them downstairs. There was a clearing in the woods, and they stopped there. He saw that there were iron wires attached to a few trees in the middle, and there were countless stones hanging on the iron wires. The stones were of different sizes, and the wires were different. The distance between the stones was also messy, as if they were randomly hung there. There were people standing on both sides. They shook the iron wire at the same time. The stones on the iron wire started to shake. Someone had entered the stones from the outside. He observed for a while and saw the signs. They had to safely pass through all the areas without touching the stones. The rock was shaking, and the people next to it would change their strength from time to time, so the rock would shake differently. There were stones all around, and those who passed through couldn't just focus on one side. It looked simple, but it wasn't that simple to do. Very quickly, some people passed through safely. Some people took a few tries to pass, but in the end everyone passed. "Commander He, do you want to try?" Shisheng's voice came from the front. He was shocked. She had discovered him? Thinking that he hadn't done anything, he quickly calmed down and walked out from behind the tree. "I'm just looking around. Did I disturb your training?" He sized up the woman in front of him. Although she was wearing a military uniform, she didn't look like a soldier at all. They hadn't seen each other for more than a year, and she seemed even more unpredictable. Shisheng's lips curved. She said ambiguously, "Commander He, it's better if you don't wander around." A strange look flashed across Hiyu's eyes. Was she warning him? Shisheng swaggered away with her people. When Hiyu came out of the woods, he was a little embarrassed. He walked back with a gloomy face. He didn't expect her to mean what she said. There was actually a trap in the woods. A few days later, Hiyu and the others saw their daily training. It looked like a game, but they almost couldn't complete it. Shisheng didn't care about them. Occasionally, he would send them to do some cleaning. They were completely janitors. "Are we going to spend half a year here?" A group of men squatted outside the field and watched the people running with weights. This group of people running with weights was a little interesting. They had to ensure that their red strings weren't snatched away. If they were, their training would be doubled. Those who snatched the red strings would have a more sumptuous dinner. "Commander He, what do you think we should do now?" They had been here for so many days, but Major General Yi didn't assign them any training. That person over there was tormenting them. Everyone's gaze fell on Hiyu. Hiyu didn't know what to do. He didn't have the final say in this special training camp. "You guys gather." Xiaoxing suddenly ran over and called them. The group looked at each other for a moment, then gathered in the middle of the field. Shisheng stood in front of them with his arms crossed. "Run 5 kilometers with weights. If you finish, you'll have food to eat. If you don't, you won't have food to eat." Xiaoxing gave them the red strings and indicated how to tie them. If they were caught, they would definitely be snatched. There was no limit to where the red strings could be tied, but it had to be visible and not hidden. After making sure that they were tied, Shisheng pointed to the 20-person team that had stopped. "They're in charge of snatching. You guys are in charge of hiding. Start." Everyone was speechless. Why did they feel like she was playing with them? When it was time, they were sure that she was playing with them. These people had obviously trained for a long time. Their snatching methods were very fast. In less than 1 lap, more than half of the people were eliminated. After that, they were practically fooled by the 20-person team in all sorts of events. 3 days later, someone couldn't take it anymore. "F***CK, we didn't come here for you to play with us. Where's Yichun? As the instructor, why didn't he come out? Why did he let a woman stay here? This is daily training. If you can't take it, the door is over there." Shisheng pointed at the door of the special training camp expressionlessly. "Who do you think you are? Do you have the final say in this special training camp?" When one person exploded, there was naturally a second. "What right do you have to be an instructor? Do you really think you're an instructor just because you're called an instructor by a bunch of brats?" The 20-person team was training on the other side. When they heard the commotion, they quickly ran over. Shisheng rubbed his hands together and smiled. That smile was a little malicious. He waved his hand. "Beat them." Chapter 1234. The 50-man team never thought that they would be beaten up by a group of new recruits one day. Compared to the moves they learned, these people's moves were even weirder. It was as if they had been modified by someone and abandoned many of their weaknesses. Yi Chen arrived late. His gaze swept across Shisheng and landed on Hiyu. He opened his mouth and said, "The special training camp is not a place for you to fight. Contradicting your instructor. 10 kilometers weighted run and 500 push-ups. Carry out." The 50-man team was not convinced. They started it first. Why should they be punished? As your senior, there's nothing wrong with teaching you a lesson. Yi Chen said lightly. Why? Do you still want to contradict me? The 50-man team was speechless. Who would believe such an obvious excuse? A strong dragon could not defeat a local snake. Now that Yi Chen was the local snake, this group of people could only accept their fate. Colonel Yi, is Gulan's instructor recognized by the military? Hiyu suddenly stood up. Everyone who was about to leave suddenly stopped. Yes, without the military's recognition, it was a violation of discipline. Everyone seemed to have found a way to go against Yi Chen. Everyone straightened their backs. Yi Chen's lips curled up. Word by word he said, "In the special training camp, I have the final say." He paused. "If you want to snitch on me, wait until you leave this place." After entering the special training camp, no one was allowed to contact the outside world without his permission. Hiyu's face changed. What did these rich kids think the military camp was? The people who were familiar with Hiyu quickly pulled him back. There was no benefit in going against Yi Chen at this time. Yi Chen raised his chin in the direction of the field. "No problem, you can start." Everyone was angry and ran along the field. Yi Chen waved at Shisheng. Shisheng rolled up his sleeves and went over. "Why aren't you being a rich young master in the dormitory? Are you willing to come out?" Yi Chen reached out and tidied her hair. "I can't let them bully you." "They want to bully me?" Shisheng sneered. Yi Chen's eyes turned. His voice was lower, and there was a faint smile. "Well, only for me to bully?" Shisheng rolled his eyes at him. "I'm going out in a few days. Are you coming with me or staying here?" Yi Chen grabbed Shisheng's hand. "Do you want to leave me behind? Speak properly." Shisheng slapped him away. Yi Chen pulled his collar and said seriously, "Of course I'm going with you. I'll go wherever you go." Shisheng did not intend to leave Yi Chen behind. She was afraid that he would cause trouble if he stayed here alone. It was better to keep him by her side. "All right, let's go back. The sun is strong." Shisheng pinched Yi Chen's face and kissed him on the cheek when no one was around. Yi Chen turned to the side and pouted. Shisheng looked at him. Yi Chen pursed his lips and smiled. His eyes were filled with her. She kissed him helplessly. Yi Chen was satisfied. "What do you want to eat tonight?" "Whatever." Shisheng waved his hand. "Hurry up and leave. I'll get angry when I see you. Then should I calm the little girl down tonight?" Shisheng waved his hand. "Get lost." This idiot was still teasing her on such a hot day. She could not even suppress her anger. Yi Chen laughed happily and left the field. He went to the kitchen, thinking about what to cook for Shisheng. It might be hard to believe, but Yi Chen was a young master who did not do any household chores for the first 20 years. Even in the army, this young master always had someone to serve him. His hands had shot guns and killed people before, but he had never cooked before. But after he got together with Shisheng, it didn't take long for his culinary skills to light up on its own. It was a miracle. In the next few days, this group of people was tortured beyond recognition. However, when they looked at the 20-man team next door, they did not want to admit defeat and wanted to compete with them. In the end, they did not have a good ending. Fights were common in the special training camp. This group of people who had been tempered by the army's discipline suddenly felt like they were young again. They were hot-blooded and would fight whenever there was a disagreement. However, one day, they woke up and found that the special training camp was empty. Only the gatekeeper was left. When they asked, they found out that they had left in the middle of the night. The gatekeeper told them that this was normal. Every once in a while, Shisheng would take them out for outdoor training. It could be as short as a few days or as long as a month. "Major General, you didn't arrange for us?" He frowned and asked. The gatekeeper shook his head. Major General was still sleeping when he left. Instructor Gu carried him to the car. Everyone was speechless. What was going on? Sheng threw the group of people into the wilderness and asked Xiaoxing to watch over them. Then he brought Yichen into the city. When they were on the train, Yichen was a busybody. He was uncomfortable here and there. Sheng cushioned him with a backrest and was speechless. Have I spoiled you like a little princess? What's a little princess? Yichen asked shamelessly. Little princess. Yichen was speechless. He was silent for a moment. I'll only be your little princess. F*ck. Hashtag I may have spoiled my wife too much. What should I do? Waiting online. Urgent hashtag Sheng pushed his head to the side. Sleep. Yichen reached out and hugged Sheng's waist. He buried his head in his neck. Little girl. He hugged her a little too tightly. Sheng felt his uneasiness and wanted to push his hand away. He lowered his voice and asked, What's wrong? I don't know. Yichen's voice was muffled. I feel uncomfortable. Where? Wasn't he fine just now? Why did he feel uncomfortable all of a sudden? Are you uncomfortable on the train? Bear with it. We'll get off at the next stop. Yichen grabbed Sheng's hand and put it on his chest. I feel uncomfortable here. Sheng was speechless. Yichen was really uncomfortable. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt a throbbing pain. It was so painful that he almost couldn't breathe. Sheng hugged him and comforted him softly. Don't think too much. I won't leave you. Okay. Perhaps it was Sheng's words that calmed him down. He gradually calmed down and slowly fell asleep while leaning against Sheng. Sheng caressed his face as she looked thoughtfully at the night sky flitting by outside the window. Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai Feng. Xiai, he was so lucky. Sheng changed his position so that he could sleep more comfortably. She looked at the person in her arms and her gaze gradually softened. She closed her eyes and a few images appeared in her mind. Ah Sheng, what kind of person will you marry in the future? Ah Sheng, I like her. Because she's the light, I'll throw away my armor and throw away my armor. Ah Sheng, when you meet her, you'll understand that you can't control yourself. Don't be afraid. If it's yours, hold on to it tightly. Don't let yourself regret it. Sheng suddenly opened his eyes. He reached out and covered his eyes to hide his emotions. Indeed, there were still some effects. Come on, let's vote. Who knows, there might be an unexpected surprise. It's just a casual comment. Just take a look. Of course, I'm serious about voting. Look at me, serious face. You're tuning into the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.